There's a silent contradiction unfolding in your life right now, and you might not even realize it. On the surface, you're doing all the things you've been told to do to manifest your dream reality. You visualize, you script, you think positively, you make vision boards and recite affirmations with a determined smile. You set intentions, journal your goals, meditate, try to let go, try to believe. But despite all that effort, you're still stuck in the same place. And deep down, you feel it. Something isn't working. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't want it enough, but because you're unknowingly sending out mixed signals to the universe. And those signals are splitting the quantum field you're trying to influence. You're asking for abundance with your mind, while your emotional body broadcasts fear. You're affirming success with your voice. While your nervous system tenses up in disbelief, you're envisioning love. While still holding onto unresolved rejection from the past. You are the transmitter, you are the signal, and you are the interference. This conflict is not subtle. It is cosmic. It matters. The universe isn't confused about your desires. It's perfectly responsive to every part of you, including the parts that doubt, contradict, or contradict each other. And because you haven't learned to unify your signal, the field is mirroring back not just your wishes, but also your worry, your indecision, your fragmentation. This is not a flaw in your ability. This is a misunderstanding of your power. In this series, we're going to change that. Over the next 4 hours, you're going to gain a crystal clear understanding of why your life looks the way it does, and how to command the coherence that reshapes it entirely. We're going far beyond pop spirituality. We're grounding everything in principles backed by quantum physics, neurobiology, and energetic alignment. You'll finally understand how and why your thoughts, feelings, and decisions are collapsing potential into your current reality, and why split energy collapses nothing at all. The truth is brutal but freeing. Your desires are already being answered, but they are being equally countered by the parts of you that don't believe, don't trust, or don't choose. You are not failing to manifest. You are manifesting in 2 directions. And that, right there, is the real reason behind the stagnation, the inconsistency, the mysterious failures that make no logical sense. So here's what we're doing. We're going to decode how this split signal works from a quantum level. We're going to uncover how your nervous system, emotions, and identity broadcast a frequency more powerful than any wish. We'll explore the physics of observation, the energetic nature of decisions, and how emotion isn't just a response to life, but the command that shapes it. And you'll learn to bring every layer of yourself, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, into coherence so that your reality has no choice but to align. You've tried to attract your dream life by thinking about it. Now, we'll teach you to become the version of you that already lives it, not by faking it, but by unifying the signal so completely that your field becomes undeniable. This isn't just mindset. This is quantum command. So let's begin. With the principle at the core of your confusion. Why do you do everything right, yet nothing changes? Because you are the radio tower sending multiple songs at once, and the universe can't make sense of the signal. Let's pull this apart. The invisible tug of war. Why your desires aren't manifesting. You want change. You want clarity. You want the next level of your life to finally begin. But as you speak that desire, there's a quieter signal underneath. A vibration that says, I'm not sure. It didn't work before. What if I get hurt again? Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I don't deserve it. This tug of war isn't mental. It's vibrational. And the field you're interacting with, the quantum field, responds to the vibration, not the volume of your desire. Which is why the louder you say, I want abundance, the more the field may amplify your fear of lack. If that's what you're unconsciously feeling, you are trying to manifest from contradiction. And contradiction creates energetic noise. The universe doesn't choose between the parts of you that want and the parts of you that fear. It reflects both. That's why you keep getting mixed results. That's why things start to move and then stall. That's why something amazing shows up, only to slip away. Your broadcast isn't broken. The split. And now it's time to unify it. The quantum confession. Physics admits reality responds to you. For centuries, we believed that reality was fixed, that there was a single, objective world out there that we were just passive players in. Then quantum mechanics cracked that illusion. Physicists discovered something shocking. On a quantum level, particles don't settle into a defined state until they are observed. In other words, the act of focusing, of bringing conscious attention, affects what reality becomes. This isn't theory. This is foundational quantum physics. It means that you are not just an observer of life. You are a participant in its creation. The field of potential that surrounds you collapses into reality through the lens of your perception, intention, and energy. But here's the part no one tells you. If your attention is scattered, if your emotions are contradictory, if your decisions are delayed or avoided, then your field remains in flux. The quantum wave doesn't collapse. It wobbles. It waits. And while it waits, you stay stuck. Not because reality is fixed, but because your signal is uncommitted. Reality is listening, the field that never stops responding. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you are broadcasting. Thoughts, emotions, beliefs, expectations, all of them are signals. And the field that surrounds you, the intelligent, responsive field of quantum information, is constantly interpreting those signals and organizing circumstances to reflect them. You might say, "I'm just thinking," but in truth, you're tuning. You might say, "I'm just worrying," but in truth, you're reinforcing. The universe is not waiting for your grand affirmations. It is responding to your constant frequency. And if that frequency is riddled with anxiety, indecision, or contradiction, then the field receives that and mirrors it back as confusion, delay, and stuckness. You're not being punished. You're being heard. You're already manifesting, but probably in opposing directions. Now here's where it gets really real. You're not waiting to become a powerful manifester. You already are one. Every day, every hour, you're influencing the field through your state of being. The problem is, you're likely broadcasting in opposing directions. You ask for love while expecting abandonment. You desire wealth while fearing instability. You envision success while identifying with struggle. So the field, being exquisitely accurate, gives you all of it in a disjointed, incoherent patchwork version of what you almost want. This is the reality you're experiencing, a fractured reflection of a fractured signal. But once you understand this, everything changes, because now the responsibility is clear. If you unify your broadcast, mentally, emotionally, physically, then the universe doesn't hesitate. It crystallizes your desire into form with precision. The coherence code, why split focus shatters reality's clarity. So here it is, the single most important energetic key to manifestation. Coherence. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions align toward a single, clear direction, your signal becomes coherent, focused, powerful. And when that signal is coherent, the quantum field collapses instantly into results. But if your thoughts say yes and your body says no, if your words are clear, but your emotions are chaotic, if your intentions are strong, but your decisions are delayed, then your broadcast is split. Split focus equals split results. And that's the root of everything you've struggled with. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more techniques. You need coherence. Because coherence is clarity. Clarity is power. And power is what moves mountains in the quantum field. Next, we will explore how this split signal is not just energetic, but deeply scientific. Because physics has already proven that indecision isn't just a mindset issue. It's a quantum dilemma. Let's break down how your uncertainty mirrors the most mind-bending truth in modern science, and how that truth holds the key to your transformation. Let's begin. There's a strange truth about reality most people never consider. You're not stuck because you're doing too little. You're stuck because you're living two versions of yourself simultaneously. And that's not poetic exaggeration. That's quantum fact. In the world of quantum mechanics, there's a principle that reshaped everything we thought we knew about reality. Superposition. A quantum particle, before it's observed, doesn't exist in one place. It exists in all possible places. It holds all potential states at once. It is not either slash or, it is both slash and, until observed. Now think about how you've been approaching your desires. You want to build the business. But part of you still clings to the security of the job. You crave the deep relationship, but still hold on to old pain. You say you're ready, but keep preparing, hesitating, delaying. You are in energetic superposition. You're holding multiple identities at once, without collapsing into the one that would create change. You are both the dreamer and the doubter, both the leader and the follower, both the decisive and the indecisive, both the version of you who believes, and the one who still needs proof. So nothing moves, because the field can't respond with precision to a divided signal. And just like the quantum particle, your life remains potential, not reality. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Superposition doesn't just create stillness, it creates inner distortion. When you exist in this liminal space between who you were and who you're meant to become, your energy splits across identities. You second-guess yourself more. You feel chronic tension between comfort and growth. You create chaos, not because you lack clarity, but because you refuse to commit to it. You become addicted to potential instead of actualization. And this addiction isn't harmless. It's deeply disempowering. Because as long as you exist in superposition, you surrender your ability to collapse the field. You delay your own destiny by entertaining contradictory versions of yourself. Now consider this. In the quantum realm, nothing stabilizes until a particle is observed. The second attention locks in, the wave collapses, and one reality becomes real. Which means one thing: until you choose a version of you to fully embody, none of them can manifest. So the business remains an idea. The health transformation stays a wish. The move, the book, the calling, the relationship, all of it hovers in the dimension of maybes. You stay split. And so does your life. You may be trying to avoid the fear of making the wrong choice. But quantumly speaking, indecision is the most costly choice of all. Because without a committed signal, the field has nothing to reflect. Now, if you're wondering why it feels so hard to collapse into one version of yourself, here's the honest truth. Your nervous system has been trained to fear finality. You've been taught to keep options open. You've been trained to wait until you're sure. You've been conditioned to equate commitment with risk. But in the quantum field, the risk isn't in choosing. The risk is in hesitation. Because the field doesn't reward maybe. It rewards coherence. So here's where we shift. The key to moving from superposition to manifestation is the alignment of identity. You must begin to choose not just mentally, but emotionally, energetically, and behaviorally, the version of you that your desired life requires. That version of you doesn't live in potential. They live in presence. They don't toggle between possibilities. They collapse the field with certainty. And no, that doesn't mean you need all the answers. It means you stop sending contradictory instructions to the universe. Because when you do, everything around you begins to reorganize. The people you attract, the opportunities that emerge, the decisions that feel obvious instead of impossible. This isn't magic. It's frequency alignment. You're no longer scattered across identities. You're coherent, and coherence is what tells the field, lock this in. But there's still a deeper truth to unpack. Because knowing that superposition is holding you back isn't enough. You need to understand how observation, your conscious attention, collapses that uncertainty into reality. That's the next critical piece. Because if you're not observing with clarity, if you're still observing through fear or avoidance, then you're not collapsing the field at all. You're watching it float by, and your life floats with it. Next, we will uncover how the very act of focusing your awareness changes everything, and how the field is waiting for your decision before it moves. In quantum physics, there's one principle that changes everything you thought you knew about control: the observer effect. At its core, it reveals this astonishing truth. Reality behaves differently when it's being observed. Let that land for a moment. Subatomic particles, when left unmeasured, exist in a cloud of probabilities. But the instant someone observes the system, those particles collapse into a single state. Observation doesn't just record reality. Observation creates it. And you, as a conscious being, are constantly observing your life. The question is, how are you observing? Because that's what determines whether your desires collapse into matter or remain floating as potential. Now take this further. Most people think they're manifesting by focusing on what they want. But in reality, they're observing what they fear. They're staring at the absence of love, not the presence of it. They're obsessing over lack of money, not wealth. They're watching doors close, not open. Their attention is locked on everything that confirms the unwanted state. And because the universe responds to observation, that's what becomes real. This is not superstition. This is physics. The moment you fix your awareness on something, consistently, emotionally, with belief, you cause that probability to solidify into experience. And if your attention is habitually directed at problems, threats, delays, and disappointment, you are literally collapsing more of it into your field. You think you're waiting for change, but the universe is waiting for your focus to change. You must understand this. The universe doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you consistently observe as true. So when you say, I want abundance, but your attention is still fixated on bills, or you say, I want love, but constantly replay rejection in your mind, you're not in alignment. You're in energetic observation of your fear. And that's what the field interprets. You can't fake this. The field doesn't speak English. It speaks frequency. Your emotions, your focus, your belief system, that's your language. Now here's the challenge. Most people don't realize how distracted their observation really is. They think they're focused, but they're scattered. They consume content endlessly. They multitask. They ruminate on what went wrong. They check their phone 90 times a day. And with every shift in focus, they destabilize the signal they're trying to send. The field reads this as confusion. It delays. Not because it's resisting you, because it's still waiting. So what do? You must begin to observe on purpose. This means choosing every hour, every day, to direct your focus toward the version of you and the version of life that you actually want. And not just think about it, but feel it, trust it, expect it. Because the moment you consistently observe a new reality with coherence, the field has no choice but to begin reflecting it. Collapses around your clarity. But clarity isn't a mental trick. Clarity is the result of chosen perception. And chosen perception means this. You decide what becomes real. Now pause here. This doesn't mean you ignore reality or deny problems. It means you stop energizing them. You stop collapsing them again and again through unconscious observation. You stop reinforcing the very version of life you're trying to transcend. When your focus becomes intentional, your entire energy field shifts. Your identity begins to stabilize. Your emotions recalibrate. Your nervous system settles. And from that coherence, the universe responds not with delay but with precision, because it finally sees a single signal to reflect. So ask yourself right now, what are you observing? Not what are you hoping for? Not what are you visualizing once in the morning? But what are you feeding with your awareness? That is the version of life you are collapsing. And that's the version of life the universe is preparing for you. Now you're beginning to see why all your mindset work and vision boards haven't yielded results. They were attempts to control the output while ignoring the input. The input is your habitual attention. And attention is everything. Because it's the observer, not the object, that determines the outcome. This is quantum law. And it doesn't bend. Next, we will push even deeper. You've seen that your attention changes everything. Now we'll explore the form your reality takes when that attention sharpens. Is your life staying in a cloud of possibility or crystallizing into precision? It all depends on what you choose to focus and sustain. Next, we will break down the duality of wave and particle and reveal why your focus determines which one your life becomes. You've now seen that your observation, your focused attention, is not passive. It is the trigger that collapses possibility into form. Now we take the next leap, because quantum physics doesn't just show that observation changes reality. It shows that the form reality takes depends entirely on how you observe it. This is the mystery of wave-particle duality. In the famous double-slit experiment, Light behaves as a wave when it goes unobserved. It flows, expands, occupies infinite potential paths. But the instant it is measured, watched, it behaves as a particle, a fixed point, a locked-in location. It transforms from infinite to specific, from fluid to formed. And here's the part you must understand. You operate the exact same way. When your focus is scattered, distracted, unsure, your life remains in wave form. It holds potential. It drifts in possibility. Nothing grounds. Nothing finalizes. The outcomes stay vague, unformed, just out of reach. But when you focus clearly, consistently, and emotionally, when you decide what is real, your life begins to collapse into the particle. Results become tangible. Circumstances organize. Reality takes shape. This is not magic. This is the universe obeying the coherence of your command. So why do so many people stay stuck in the wave? Because committing to one particle, a specific outcome, feels risky. It means letting go of all other options. It means stepping away from the comfort of maybe. It means allowing your potential to become precise. And that scares people. But without that shift from wave to particle, nothing in your life stabilizes. It stays foggy. Think about your desires right now. You might say, I want more money, but you haven't chosen the exact form. You haven't clarified the method, the vehicle, the number. Your mind says yes. Your energy says maybe. The field hears noise. So your financial reality mirrors back a field of maybes. Small wins, random gains, unpredictable shifts that never settle. Or you say, I want love, but your heart still echoes memories of betrayal. Your thoughts drift from ideal partner to past failures. You're stuck between hope and hypervigilance. The wave never collapses. The pattern stays in limbo. So the love you seek keeps hovering in potential. Why? Because you never fixed your frequency long enough for the universe to collapse it into form. The field doesn't respond to fleeting emotion. It responds to sustained coherence. Now let's flip the perspective. Think about a time in your life when something just clicked, when things lined up fast, almost too perfectly. Chances are you were crystal clear. You weren't dabbling. You weren't in doubt. You were focused, grounded, committed. In that state, your signal didn't waver, and the field responded by collapsing the wave into a particle. That's the power you have. Not once, not occasionally, always. Every moment of attention either maintains the wave or collapses it into matter. So here's the key. Stop staying in potential. Stop flirting with 17 different options. Stop hedging your bets in case something goes wrong. Stop rehearsing failure in your mind before anything begins. Because the wave loves indecision, but the universe only mirrors the particle. If you want reality to move, you have to focus your signal into precision. Not just in words, but in emotion, expectation, and action. This is where most spiritual seekers falter. They think the universe will reward openness, that holding space will magnetize results. But the field doesn't operate on politeness. It operates on certainty. When you fix your gaze, your energy, and your decision on a specific version of life, it has to materialize. Not because you forced it, but because you removed every other option from your frequency. You turned the wave into a particle, and the field obeys. But there's one more layer to this. Even once you've collapsed reality into a focused outcome, the field continues listening, which means your emotional state doesn't just influence your reality, it entangles with it. That's the next powerful truth to uncover. Because it's not just about what you focus on. It's about how your internal state reaches beyond you, touching everything, influencing everyone, shaping every moment. Next, we will explore why your emotional frequency isn't personal. It's quantumly entangled with everything you attract. Now that you understand how your attention collapses reality into form, we must go even deeper. Because it's not just your focus that influences your outcomes. It's the emotional signal you emit while you focus. And that signal doesn't stay inside you. It extends beyond your body, connects to people, events, timelines, and possibilities you can't even see. This is the principle of quantum entanglement. At the subatomic level, when two particles become entangled, Their states become interconnected no matter how far apart they are. Change one and the other responds instantly. Distance doesn't matter. Space doesn't break the bond. They're energetically linked. Now imagine this. Your thoughts are sending signals. Your emotions are broadcasting frequency. And the people, opportunities, and experiences you attract are being influenced by that frequency in real time. Every time you feel fear, you entangle with circumstances that reflect fear. Every time you feel unworthy, you entangle with relationships that reinforce unworthiness. Every time you feel decisive joy, you entangle with timelines that mirror that joy back. You are not separate from what you manifest. You are entangled with it. Your emotional state is a magnetic thread, and what it attaches to becomes part of your experience. This is why emotional coherence matters more than intellectual clarity, because you can set intentions all day long. But if your dominant emotional signal is self-doubt, guilt, shame, anxiety, you are entangling with outcomes that match that. Not because you're cursed, because you're clear. Clear in fear, clear in uncertainty, clear in contradiction. And the universe, being loyal to coherence, matches it. Now let's break this down even further. You don't attract what you say. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are entangled with emotionally, through repetition, intensity, and belief. This is the real reason your vibe matters. Not because it's spiritual to feel good, but because your emotional state literally anchors you into versions of life. And if you don't take control of that state, it controls the trajectory of your day, your week, your relationships, your income, your health. You don't need to feel high vibe all the time. That's impossible. But you do need to stop letting emotional chaos define your signal. Because chaotic emotion leads to incoherent entanglement. And incoherent entanglement brings unpredictable results. It's why some things work and others don't. It's why you attract amazing people one day and draining ones the next. It's why opportunities come but fall apart. Your emotions are broadcasting, even when you're silent. The field doesn't listen to words. It listens to resonance. So how do you shift this? You begin by tracking what you're emotionally linking to over and over again. When you scroll social media, are you entangling with envy or inspiration? When you wake up, are you anchoring into dread or decisiveness? When you make decisions, are you wired to fear loss or sense possibility? These are not small questions. They are the compass of your quantum entanglement. Because you entangle with what you feel repeatedly. And what you feel repeatedly, you materialize. So the work is not just clarity of desire. It's coherence of emotion. You must learn to stabilize emotional states that match your vision, regardless of external triggers. Because when you can hold the frequency of peace, trust, or certainty without needing proof, you create energetic links to futures where that emotional state is the default reality. You stop waiting for life to change how you feel, and start using how you feel to change life. This is the reversal most never make. They think they need life to look a certain way before they feel aligned. But quantumly speaking, your alignment is what determines how life looks. Your emotions don't just matter. They're the blueprint. Now ask yourself, what are you entangled with emotionally? Who, what, or where is receiving your repeated emotional investment? Because that's what's tethered to your field right now. And until you choose to release that entanglement and redirect it to something new, your reality can't shift. The field doesn't override your frequency. It honors it. Every time. Next, we will decode the strangest truth of all. The quantum field will hold your entire future hostage. Until you decide which version of you gets to live it. You've understood how your signal splits. You've seen how your focus collapses potential. And how your emotions entangle with timelines. But still, many people stay stuck. Why? Because their indecision keeps their reality in limbo. Next, we will expose the trap of energetic limbo, and how to escape the quantum prison of maybe once and for all. You've now seen how your focus collapses potential into form. How your emotions entangle with timelines that reflect them. And how contradiction in your energetic field creates confusion in your results. But even with that awareness, many remain frozen. They ask, they visualize, they learn, and still nothing moves. It's not because they don't know what they want. It's because they haven't truly chosen. Their energy remains suspended between outcomes, unable to commit. They exist in a state of waiting, watching, wondering, and in that waiting, they trap themselves in the quantum equivalent of limbo. This is Schrödinger's manifestation, a direct mirror of the famous Schrödinger's cat thought experiment. In it, a cat in a sealed box exists in a paradox, both alive and dead until observed. It lives in dual states because the outcome hasn't been decided. Only observation collapses that duality. Now apply this to your life. You want love, but haven't chosen vulnerability. You want abundance, but haven't chosen boldness. You want purpose, but haven't chosen to release distraction. So you exist in multiple possibilities, all unresolved. Your dreams feel close but never arrive. Your intuition whispers but your fear talks louder. Your clarity comes in waves but action never follows. You are the cat in the box, simultaneously living the life you want and the life you're afraid to leave behind. And until you observe with commitment, until you choose a version of you to fully inhabit, your life remains in suspended potential. The field doesn't push. It waits. It waits for you to break the tie between yes and no, between action and hesitation, between trust and control, between desire and delay. As long as you're trying to keep both realities alive, the universe gives you neither. Why? Because indecision is not neutral. It's a powerful signal that tells the field, hold all outcomes. I'm not ready to collapse. And so your reality becomes foggy. You feel the pull of your future, but the weight of your past won't let go. You experience moments of synchronicity, followed by confusion. Signs appear, but they lead nowhere, because the universe is honoring your dominant vibration. Maybe I'll commit. Maybe I'll believe. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Maybe is the most dangerous vibration in the field, because it pretends to be thoughtful, but it's actually avoidance. It masquerades as caution, but it's actually stagnation. Now here's the hard truth. Your desired life is already real, in the field of potential. But it won't crystallize until your signal stops wobbling, until your decision becomes energetic. Not intellectual, not performative, but full-bodied, non-negotiable, irreversible. Because only then does the field collapse in your favor. This is not about being impulsive. It's about being coherent. You've been thinking about your desires for too long, feeling into them, journaling, studying, processing. But all of that, if not followed by decisive energetic alignment, becomes spiritual procrastination. You cannot think your way out of limbo. You have to collapse the box. You have to stop keeping both options alive just in case. Because that just in case is the anchor that keeps you from shifting timelines. So how do you collapse limbo? Start with this. Refuse to send any more mixed signals to the field. That means no more split actions. No more back and forth energy. No more 1 foot in 1 foot out goals. You must remove contradiction from your decision-making. You must stop waiting for evidence before you choose. You must become the version of you who already knows the outcome is locked. Because until you do, nothing truly begins. You are the observer. You are the decider. And your reality is just waiting to reflect what you finally commit to. So ask yourself, what have you been keeping in limbo? What version of you have you been refusing to fully live? And are you willing right now to collapse the wave? And finally choose? Because until you do, the box stays sealed. And so does your future. Next we will shift gears. You've learned how uncertainty freezes the field. Now we'll reveal how unresolved emotional loops, energetic leaks, and scattered mental patterns break your coherence, even after you've made the choice. Let's expose the hidden ways your power is bleeding out of your signal. So you've made the decision. You've collapsed the wave. You've chosen the identity. You've aligned your attention. But things still feel unstable. The forward motion is there, but inconsistent. The signal is strong, but flickers. The field responds, but not with precision. Why? Because even after the choice, most people don't realize how much power is still leaking from their energetic field. They've cut through indecision but haven't sealed the cracks that weaken their signal. They're clear in the moment, but still haunted by loops, doubts, and residual tension that splits the flow. This is what we call field fracture, and it's one of the most overlooked reasons why manifestation results feel delayed, distorted, or short-lived. Here's how it works. Your energetic field is meant to be coherent, meaning every layer of your being is moving in the same direction. But most of us carry unprocessed emotion, looping thoughts, subtle resistance, and unconscious patterns that create static. That static doesn't stop your manifestation. It scrambles it. It makes your results come in sideways. It slows the timeline. It invites interference. Now let's break down the 3 main ways your field becomes fractured, so you can start sealing the leaks for good. 1. Leaks, unconscious attention drains. Every time you think about a situation from the past and relive it emotionally, you create a leak. Every time you stalk your ex online, every time you replay an old argument, every time you feel guilt, shame, or regret about what you didn't do, you are leaking energy. That emotional attention pulls power away from your current broadcast. It waters down the signal you're trying to send now. Think of your focus like a flashlight. You can't shine it in 5 directions and expect full brightness in one. Your energy is either fueling the future or feeding the past. Leaks are anything that drain your mental or emotional attention without purpose. To seal them, you must forgive, release, and redirect, not as a spiritual exercise, but as a power move. Forgiveness isn't about morality. It's about energy conservation. And until you seal those leaks, your signal won't be strong enough to stabilize the field. 2. Loops, repetitive thoughts that recycle the old reality. A loop is any thought pattern that keeps you energetically tied to an identity you've outgrown. I always mess this up. People don't get me. This is just how things are. These internal scripts run silently in the background. And even when your conscious mind chooses a new path, these loops keep anchoring you to the old one. The field can't override them if you keep energizing them. You have to replace them not just with positive thoughts, but with coherent truths. Thoughts that actually resonate in your body. Not hollow affirmations, but phrases that your nervous system can believe. Break the loop by disrupting the thought and rewiring the emotional charge behind it. This is what makes change stick. 3. Lingering doubts, micro-contradictions that split the signal. You've made the big decision, but doubt still whispers. What if this doesn't work? What if I made the wrong move? Should I have waited longer? These micro-contradictions are more dangerous than full-blown fear because they're subtle. They don't stop you from acting. They just split your frequency while you act. You move forward on the outside, but on the inside, your trust is fractured. This is how you send mixed signals even after clarity. To resolve this, you must do 2 things. First, normalize doubt as a part of growth, but refuse to let it steer. Second, anchor back into your decision through embodiment. That means acting in ways that reinforce your choice again and again until your nervous system believes it's safe to trust. That's how you unify your field. And when your field is unified, no leaks, no loops, no doubts, you become magnetic. Reality begins to reflect you with stunning precision. Not because you're high vibe, but because you're energetically undivided. This is what coherence looks like. It's not perfection. It's consistency. And consistency is what commands the field. So ask yourself, where are you leaking energy? What thought loops are still running your mind? What tiny doubts are fracturing your signal? Until those pieces are cleaned, the field will hesitate. Not as punishment, but as feedback. Next, we will expose the real source of your power, not your thoughts, not your hustle, but the emotional frequency you carry. Because coherence doesn't start in the head. It starts in the body. Next, we will explore why your feelings, not your affirmations, are the true command signal the field obeys. You've seen now how your field can be fractured, how attention leaks, mental loops, and subtle doubts dilute the signal you're sending. But now we come to the nucleus of it all, the core mechanism that determines what the field reflects back to you. Your emotional frequency, not your thoughts, not your words, not your rituals, It is the emotional charge beneath them that sends the actual instruction. Thoughts are templates. Emotions are transmitters. A thought may define what you want, but emotion determines whether it arrives. Because the field isn't analyzing language. It's responding to vibration. Every feeling you sustain sends out a frequency, and that frequency tells the quantum field what to mirror back into your life. You can speak abundance with your mouth, but if your gut is tight with fear, the field hears scarcity. You can visualize love in your mind, but if your heart is armored with grief, the field hears isolation. You can write affirmations until your hand cramps, but if your body is still frozen in the emotional imprint of old trauma, the field stays confused. Your feelings don't just matter, they override everything else. That's why manifestation often fails despite effort. Because people try to manifest with their intellect while ignoring their emotional baseline. They focus on thoughts. They focus on plans. They focus on logic. But the field is listening for one thing only: your emotional coherence. So what exactly does that mean? It means that every layer of your being, mental, emotional, physical, is resonating in alignment with a single frequency. It means you're not just thinking about abundance, you feel the security of it in your nervous system. You don't just say you're ready for love, you feel worthy of it in your chest. You don't just plan success, you feel the certainty of it in your bones. This is what turns a wish into a signal, and what turns that signal into form. Now here's where most people get it wrong. They think emotion is a byproduct. They wait for the result to feel the feeling. They say, when I get the money, I'll feel secure. When I meet the person, I'll feel loved. When I achieve the thing, I'll feel proud. But that's backwards. In the quantum field, you must first feel the state to attract the reflection of it. Your frequency leads. Reality follows. The emotion is the command, which means you don't wait for the external to justify the internal. You generate the internal state to influence the external outcome. So how do you do that? You begin by becoming radically honest about your current emotional baseline. Not your peak state on a good day, but your default state. When you're not trying to manifest. When you're not meditating or vision boarding. What do you feel most of the time? That's the true frequency you're broadcasting. You might find it's frustration, or resignation, or low-level anxiety. That's not shameful, it's informational. Because once you identify your baseline, you can begin to shift it. And no, it doesn't mean you have to be joyful 24/7. The field doesn't demand perfection. It requires alignment. What matters is that your dominant emotional signal is aligned with the outcome you say you want. If you want peace, feel peaceful more often than you feel chaotic. If you want expansion, feel more trust than fear. If you want growth, feel more openness than resistance. It's that simple, and that hard, because you can't fake this. You can't pretend to feel confident while harboring inner conflict. You can't slap a smile on fear and hope the universe gets the message. The field doesn't read masks. It reads vibration. So now your task becomes clear. You must begin training your emotional body to match the state of the life you want. And that begins with embodiment. Feel now what your future requires. Hold the frequency of the version of you who already lives the result. Not once, not when it's easy, but repeatedly, intentionally, even through resistance. Because every time you do, you strengthen the signal. You increase coherence. You close the gap between thought and form. And soon, the field responds not with random chance, but with unmistakable alignment. Because you're no longer just wishing. You are transmitting. Next, we will dismantle a toxic myth that's been polluting manifestation for decades. The lie that thinking positively is enough. We'll reveal why chasing positivity often fractures your energy further, and how true coherence beats positivity every single time. You've now begun to understand how emotion carries the actual signal. And with that clarity comes a crucial realization. Trying to think positively does not guarantee alignment. In fact, chasing positivity can sometimes make your signal weaker, not stronger. This may sound controversial, but let's break it down. Positive thinking in isolation has become a modern spiritual dogma. People are told to stay high vibe. to smile through discomfort, to just shift their mindset. But underneath that manufactured positivity often lies unresolved fear, tension, and resistance. The smile is painted on. The affirmations are forced. The emotions underneath are silenced. And this creates internal dissonance. You say one thing, but feel another. You project light, but carry heaviness. The result? Your energy splits, your signal fractures, and the field, receiving both the surface frequency and the buried one, mirrors the conflict, not the affirmation. This is why people say, "I've been so positive. Why isn't it working?" Because positivity doesn't equal coherence. Now, don't misunderstand. Optimism is not the enemy. But fake positivity used to bypass real emotion is not alignment. It's denial. And denial is not energetically clean. The universe doesn't reward pretending. It rewards truth. And truth is what creates coherence. Coherence means that what you think, feel, and do are in harmony. Not forced harmony. Not performative agreement. But real, felt alignment. You can be in coherence while grieving. You can be in coherence while afraid. You can be in coherence while uncertain. As long as your truth and your emotion are aligned, the field can respond. It's not about being positive. It's about being whole. If you're angry, own it. If you're scared, breathe through it. If you're lost, acknowledge it fully. Because when you integrate those emotions rather than suppress them, your field becomes stronger, not weaker. True coherence is not lightwashing reality. It is the alignment of your energy with what is real, in a way that doesn't distort your signal. Now let's go deeper. Here's what happens when you try to override your emotions with forced positivity. Your nervous system picks up on the lie. It senses the mismatch, and it tightens, contracts, defends, which leads to more static in your field. You may appear composed on the outside, but on the inside you are in survival mode. And survival mode does not manifest growth. It manifests defense. So what's the solution? Emotional transparency with energetic discipline. That means you allow emotions to surface, process them without judgment, and then choose the next state from clarity, not from bypass. It means you feel the fear, express it, release it, and then return to your vision. You don't force the shift. You allow it. This is how you build resonant positivity, not surface-level gloss. Resonant positivity doesn't ignore pain, transcends it through integration. And that's the only kind of positivity the field can work with, because it's not pretending, it's embodied. Now ask yourself, have you been faking good vibes to stay spiritual? Have you ignored discomfort just to stay high frequency? Have you used positivity as a shield from your own truth? So you're not wrong. You're human. But if you want your manifestations to land, the pretending has to stop. Because fake light cannot collapse the field. Only true coherence can. Let go of the pressure to smile when you're breaking. Let go of the guilt for having low days. Let go of the myth that you have to be perpetually positive to be powerful. You don't. You just have to be aligned. Coherence over performance. Truth over optics. Congruence over curation, because that's the signal the universe actually responds to. Next, we will expose another illusion, the belief that repetition equals power. You've now seen that coherent emotion outperforms artificial positivity. Now we'll reveal why repeating affirmations or rituals 100 times means nothing if they don't resonate vibrationally with your body. Let's explore the real reason resonance always wins over repetition. Now that you understand the limitations of forced positivity and the supremacy of emotional coherence, it's time to confront another deeply entrenched belief. The idea that repetition equals power. You've likely been told that if you repeat something often enough, your subconscious will absorb it, and eventually your life will change. Say it in the mirror. Write it 55 times. Loop the affirmation playlist while you sleep. And while repetition has its place in conditioning the mind, it's not what sends the command to the field. Resonance does. Saying something 100 times with no emotional charge behind it is like sending blank emails to the universe. They reach the inbox, but there's nothing to act on. This is where so many people burn out on spiritual routines. They chant, write, visualize, and loop affirmations, thinking sheer volume will crack the code. But volume without vibration is empty. The universe doesn't count how many times you say it. It listens for the depth of alignment behind each time you feel it. One sentence spoken from embodied certainty can carry more magnetic power than 10,000 mechanical repetitions. Why? Because the quantum field is frequency sensitive, not word sensitive. And frequency is shaped not by how often you repeat, but by how deeply you resonate. Now pause here and test this for yourself. Take a phrase you've repeated often. Maybe, I am abundant or I am enough. Say it slowly. Then notice what happens in your body. Does it land? Do you feel your chest expand? Your breath deepen? Your spine straighten? Or do you feel nothing? Maybe even tension, skepticism, resistance? That reaction is the diagnostic. If your body doesn't believe the statement, then no amount of repetition will make it real to the field. The body doesn't lie, and the universe listens to the body more than the brain. Why? Because your somatic system, your body's internal state, is a direct frequency broadcaster. It holds the truth of your belief systems beneath the surface of language. Which means this: if your affirmation does not resonate with your nervous system, it becomes a counterproductive act. It becomes another contradiction in your signal. You say you believe. Your body says no. The field reflects the contradiction. So what do? You shift from repetition to resonance. This doesn't mean you abandon affirmations. It means you refine them into statements that your body can accept. Not watered down, but energetically accurate. Let's say, I am wealthy feels like a lie to your system. But, I am building stable wealth, and I can feel the shifts beginning. That might resonate. If, I am magnetic feels too abstract, but, I am grounded in my worth, and others feel it. Your system might receive that fully. You're not diluting the vision. You're calibrating the signal so that every part of you, mind, body, breath, says yes. And that's when the affirmation becomes a command. Because you're no longer performing language. You're embodying truth. Now let's address a common question. Can repetition ever work? Yes. But only when it's used to deepen resonance, not to bypass it. If an affirmation already resonates, repeating it with presence can deepen its emotional charge. But if it doesn't resonate, repeating it is like trying to start a fire with wet matches. You're better off finding the next believable statement and growing from there. This is called incremental resonance. You scale up your signal by building emotional momentum, not by faking it until you break. Each day you stretch just beyond your edge, not leap into disbelief. This creates sustainable growth in your frequency. And frequency, as we've said, is what shapes form. So if you've been repeating things that don't feel true, stop. You're not weak. You're not blocked. You're just out of resonance. Refine the statement. Find the version your nervous system can say yes to, and from there build power, not through volume, through alignment. This is the new model of manifestation, not a mental loop, but a resonant transmission. And once you understand that, you realize something even more powerful. Your body, not your voice, is your most accurate broadcasting tool. Let's take that even deeper. Next, we will explore how your somatic energy, your breath, posture, tension, and presence, acts as a live antenna for your manifestations. We'll expose why unhealed trauma, frozen emotion, and chronic stress keep jamming your frequency, and what to do about it. So far, you've seen that the mind does not command the field alone. That thoughts without aligned feeling create weak signals. That repetition without resonance falls flat. Now you're ready for the next revelation. Your body is not just a container. It's a live transmitter. Every signal you send to the field, every desire, every emotion, every decision, is filtered through your physical state. This means your posture, breath, muscle tension, and nervous system activity are not just symptoms. They are frequencies. And those frequencies are constantly broadcasting. Even when you're silent. Even when your face looks calm. Even when your mind says, I'm fine. If your body is holding contraction, suppression, or trauma, Your signal is broadcasting that. This is where most people's manifestation efforts collapse. They focus all their energy on mindset, while ignoring the static their body is sending out nonstop. They affirm wealth but carry decades of survival mode in their gut. They visualize success, but their shoulders curl forward in defeat. They meditate daily, but their nervous system is locked in hypervigilance. And they wonder why results stay unpredictable. Here's the truth. The field listens to your somatic vibration more than your vision board. Your body is the amplifier. If it's jammed, distorted, or dysregulated, your frequency gets scrambled, no matter how clear your desire is. So what exactly is your body broadcasting? Start by asking, is your breath deep and relaxed, or shallow and guarded? Is your chest open and lifted, or collapsed in defeat? Do you move with rhythm, or twitch with tension? These are not aesthetic questions. They're energetic diagnostics, because your body posture reflects your subconscious identity. And that identity tells the field, this is what I'm ready for. So if your body screams stress, even as your mind whispers, I'm abundant, the field mirrors stress. Not because it's punishing you, because it's loyal to coherence. And your body reveals your true coherence more than your mouth ever will. Now let's look even deeper. Your nervous system has only one job: keep you alive. And it will do whatever it must: freeze, fight, fawn, flee, to avoid perceived threat. That means if your body associates success with pressure, it will sabotage your efforts. If it associates love with pain, it will push people away. If it associates abundance with instability, it will keep you broke. Not because you're bad at manifesting, because your body doesn't feel safe receiving what you're asking for. And until you resolve that, your field will reflect your survival instinct, not your vision. So how do you shift the body's broadcast? You create safety. You retrain your nervous system to associate calm, expansion, and worthiness with the very outcomes you desire. You breathe into the spaces that have held your fear. You stretch out the tension that holds your protection. You move in ways that teach your body, I'm not under threat anymore. This is not theoretical. It's biological. Because when the body feels safe, the heart opens. When the heart opens, the frequency stabilizes. When the frequency stabilizes, the universe moves. Here's the framework. Safety first. Stop pushing your body into success it doesn't feel safe holding. Sensation over story. Tune into the physical feeling before trying to reframe the mental belief. Stillness as reset. Learn to sit with your body without needing to fix it. Movement as signal. Let intentional motion become a new language of expansion. You're not trying to perform alignment. You're letting your body become the signal. And once that happens, you stop needing to force manifestation. It begins arriving because your entire system is finally saying yes. No more conflict between mouth and muscle. No more pretending to be ready while your posture screams no. No more incoherence between thoughts and tension. You become congruent. And congruence is magnetic, because the universe responds fastest to beings who are energetically undivided. So now ask yourself, is your body broadcasting, I'm ready? Or is it still saying I'm scared? That's not a judgment. It's a mirror. And once you see it clearly, you can begin to shift not from willpower but from embodiment. Next, we will step beyond the body and into the soul. You've learned how the body shapes the signal. Now we'll explore how to align with the deepest source of your desire, your essence, not your ego. Because coherence doesn't just come from safety, it comes from purpose. Let's now uncover why split desires create split realities, and how to finally distinguish between the voice of ego and the signal of your true self. Now that you understand the body as a broadcasting antenna, and you've begun to sense how your somatic state influences the field, it's time to confront the next core fracture in your signal. You may be manifesting desires that were never truly yours. Not every goal you chase belongs to your soul. Some were implanted by culture. Some were inherited through trauma. Some were adopted as masks for safety. And until you identify the source of your desires, the field will remain in a state of contradiction. You can do the inner work. You can align your body. You can speak all the right affirmations. But if the desire itself is misaligned, if it comes from ego, fear, or compensation rather than essence, your reality won't harmonize. Because you're trying to manifest a life your soul never requested. Let's clarify what that means. Your ego wants comfort, approval, safety, and validation. It wants to be seen a certain way. It wants to win in the eyes of others. It wants what feels impressive. Your essence wants expansion, authenticity, meaning, and coherence. It doesn't care about optics. It doesn't chase applause. It knows what is yours and what is not. Now here's the issue. Most people never stop long enough to separate the two. They say they want wealth, but what they really want is safety from scarcity they never healed. They say they want success, but what they really want is to prove their worth to someone who doubted them. They say they want to be seen, but what they really want is to feel whole enough that being seen doesn't define them. So the ego sets the goal. The mind constructs the plan. The body follows, reluctantly, and the field receives a signal that lacks true resonance. That signal is incoherent, and the results are always the same. Either the manifestation never materializes, or it does, but feels hollow and unsatisfying once it arrives, because the version of you who created the outcome was never fully aligned with it. Here's the deeper issue. Ego desires often feel louder, more urgent, more obvious. Essence whispers. It doesn't push. It waits. And in a world of noise, urgency, and comparison, that whisper is easy to ignore. So the real question becomes, are you manifesting from wholeness or from a hole? Are you creating because you're inspired or because you're afraid of being forgotten? Are you building something that expands your truth or something that numbs your shame? Because whatever fuels the desire shapes the vibration of the outcome. The universe doesn't just reflect the goal. It reflects the energetic signature of the goal. And if that signature is built on overcompensation, insecurity, or proving, the result will always contain the same energy, no matter how shiny it looks on the surface. This is why people reach success and still feel empty. Why they fall in love but still feel alone. Why they achieve a goal and instantly need the next one. They were never chasing the thing. They were chasing the feeling they thought it would give them. But feelings that come from essence don't need external proof. They arise from within and magnetize experiences that match them. So how do you realign? You slow down long enough to ask, where did this desire come from? Would I still want this if no one ever knew I had it? Does this feel like home or performance? And most importantly, when I feel into this vision, do I expand or do I tighten? Your body will tell you what your ego won't. Tightness means protection. Constriction means compensation. Stillness and openness mean alignment. When you drop into a soul-aligned desire, you don't feel urgency. You feel inevitability. You don't feel hunger. You feel home. And that's when your signal becomes clear. Because the desire is no longer polluted by fear or fragmentation. It's clean. It's true. It's coherent. And coherent desires manifest fast. Not because they're better, but because there's no internal conflict to slow them down. So here's your power. You can clear every contradiction in your field. You can align your body, your mind, and your actions. But if the desire you're broadcasting isn't rooted in truth, the results will always wobble. Strip it back. Remove the layers of performance. Release the goals that don't resonate. And let your essence speak. Because when the soul chooses the signal, the universe doesn't hesitate. Next, we will pull the veil off a different kind of conflict, the one between the inner yes and the outer should. Because even when you align with essence, there's a war between authenticity and expectation that must be addressed. You've now begun to recognize the difference between ego-driven desires and soul-rooted truth. You're beginning to sense the clarity that emerges when a desire is yours, not borrowed. But even when you know what's true for you, there's often another layer of resistance, the weight of what you think you should do. Society has shaped you. Family has imprinted you. Teachers, bosses, peers, they've all installed programs. Programs that say, be productive, be impressive, be practical, be normal. And so even when your inner truth says yes, There's an external voice whispering, you can't. You shouldn't. That's risky. That's selfish. That's not realistic. This is the battle between authenticity and expectation. And it's one of the deepest splits in your energetic field. You say yes to your intuition but hesitate to follow through. You feel clarity but override it with logic. You crave alignment but default to the path that looks better on paper. This split doesn't just delay manifestation. Corrupts the frequency entirely, because your body is attuned to your authenticity. When you abandon it to fulfill a should, your field collapses in response. The universe doesn't reward conformity. It rewards coherence. And coherence only exists where truth is honored. Let's go deeper. The should voice often disguises itself as wisdom. Says things like, I should keep the job, it's stable. I should stay, it's not that bad. I should wait until I'm more ready. I should choose the path that makes sense. But underneath those rationalizations is usually fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of failure. Fear of abandonment. So the outer should becomes armor. But that armor comes at a cost. Every time you betray your yes, you weaken your field. You fracture your confidence. You distort your signal. Your soul whispers the path. Your ego negotiates it away. And the result? Stuckness, confusion, restlessness with no clear solution. Because the field can't reflect clarity until you reflect clarity. So here's your task. You must begin choosing the inner yes over the outer should. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it disappoints others. Even when it makes no sense to anyone but you. Why? Because your power is directly proportional to your authenticity. You don't get coherence by pretending. You get it by aligning with your deepest truth, no matter who misunderstands it. This doesn't mean you act impulsively. It means you listen honestly. You start noticing what contracts me, what expands me, what feels performative, what feels rooted. Then you commit to honoring expansion, even when contraction feels more convenient. This is not rebellion. It's reclamation. You're reclaiming your right to live as you, not as the version of you that earns approval. And here's the paradox. The more authentic your choices become, the more powerful your frequency grows. And the stronger your frequency, the less validation you need. Because you stop needing others to understand what the universe has already validated through resonance. You feel the click. You feel the alignment. You feel the field responding not to who you were told to be, but to who you actually are. So ask yourself, where are you saying yes on the inside but no on the outside? What truth have you been quieting to keep others comfortable? And what would shift if you finally let your soul speak louder than their expectations? That is your next unlock. Because until the inner yes becomes your North Star, the field will keep sending detours. Not as punishment, as correction. Next, we will complete this realignment by introducing the compass that turns aligned intention into manifested reality. Your intuition. Because once you've cleared ego and bypassed social conditioning, your intuitive signal becomes the most accurate guide to collapsing quantum probabilities. Let's explore how to activate it, trust it, and let it lead. You've now begun to clear the distortions, ego desires, inherited expectations, external noise. You've started to feel the soft but unmistakable pulse of something deeper. That pulse is your intuition. And it's not just a gut feeling or an emotional whisper. It is your internal compass, the mechanism by which your consciousness navigates infinite potential timelines. In the quantum field, all possible versions of reality already exist. Your future is not linear. It's multidimensional. And which version of that future becomes your experience depends on your frequency alignment, your emotional coherence, and your choices. But here's the twist. The most aligned choices often don't come from logic. They come from knowing. They emerge from stillness, not strategy. From resonance, not analysis. From the soul's wisdom, not the mind's programming. And that's what we call intuition. It is your direct access point to the version of you that already knows. Knows what you came here to become. Knows what paths will lead to expansion. Knows what to release even when your mind clings to it. But here's the challenge. Most people have silenced this compass. They've overridden it for years, sometimes decades, choosing what's expected instead of what's aligned, analyzing what feels safe instead of trusting what feels true. The result? They're trying to manifest from the mind, while the soul holds the actual map. And the field, ever faithful, responds with matching confusion. Because you cannot collapse quantum potential into physical reality if you're making choices from fear or performance. Only the voice of intuition carries the clarity needed to lock in your highest path. So how do you recognize that voice? Intuition doesn't argue. It doesn't justify. It doesn't bargain. It speaks quietly, but with authority. Comes as a subtle knowing, a gentle pull, an instant clarity that defies explanation. It's the energy you feel when you meet someone and your body says yes or no, before your mind has time to explain it. It's the I don't know why, but I have to go impulse. It's the moment when a certain action clicks into place, bypassing logic entirely. And every time you ignore it, you feel it. The detour, the delay, the energetic fog that follows a misaligned yes. Now here's the deeper truth. Your intuition is not just a guide for life decisions. It's your point of access to your quantum trajectory. Because every intuitive yes you follow aligns you with a version of reality that contains expanded results, deeper truth, and accelerated coherence. You move faster. You attract cleaner. You shift realities more easily. Why? Because you're no longer navigating through the filter of doubt. You're responding directly to the field's feedback. And that feedback often comes through intuition first, long before logic catches up. Now let's go practical. If you've been out of touch with this compass, how do you reawaken it? 1. Create stillness. Intuition is drowned by noise. If you never pause, you'll miss it. Even 5 minutes of silence, eyes closed, breath soft, can bring clarity. 2. Feel the body. Your intuitive yes will expand you. Your intuitive no will contract you. Learn to trust those sensations more than your mental justifications. 3. Practice microtrust. Start with small decisions. What to eat, who to call, when to rest. Let intuition guide the trivial, and it will gain confidence to guide the profound. 4. Stop polling. The more people you ask, the less you'll hear your own knowing. Intuition doesn't need consensus. 5. Trust speed. Most intuitive hits come quickly. If you delay, your mind will hijack them with fear. Act before you rationalize. As you rebuild this muscle, your field will begin responding more precisely. You'll notice smoother synchronicities, effortless alignment, doors opening where there were once only walls. Not because the universe changed, but because your signal did. You're no longer leaking power through indecision. You're no longer contradicting your truth with hesitation. You're acting as if your soul is the CEO, and that changes everything. This is how you collapse infinite futures into one coherent reality. Because intuition is not just inner wisdom. It is frequency alignment in action. It is the gateway to the life your soul intended, not the one your ego defaulted to. And now that you're beginning to tune into that compass, the signal gets sharper. Next, we will explore how purpose isn't something you chase. It's something you broadcast. Because when you align with soul-level purpose, your entire quantum field reorganizes. Your particles don't just vibrate, they march. Let's now reveal what it looks like to live in the soul state of coherence. You've begun to access your intuitive guidance system. You've seen how it sharpens your decisions, stabilizes your frequency, and collapses aligned outcomes. Now it's time to anchor that power into something bigger than preferences, goals, or desires. Because even intuition, if unrooted, can drift into indecision. What you need now is alignment to purpose. Not purpose as a job, not purpose as a slogan, but purpose as energetic architecture. The reason you're here, the frequency your soul came to express, the contribution you're designed to make, through who you are, not just what you do. This is what we call the soul state of coherence. It's the state where your desires, your choices, your actions, and your presence are harmonized with your essence. And when this alignment is activated, something extraordinary happens. your particles, your entire energy field become structurally aligned. You no longer chase synchronicity. You become it. You no longer push for momentum. You embody it. You no longer wonder where the right opportunities are. They orbit around your signal, because your frequency is no longer random. It is encoded with direction. Here's how this works on a quantum level. Every atom in your body contains particles vibrating at specific frequencies. When those particles move in random patterns, your field is chaotic. When they move in synchronized patterns, your field is magnetic. And the fastest way to synchronize them is not through discipline, willpower, or mindset. It's through living from purpose. When your daily actions resonate with your core frequency, your field becomes highly ordered. That order is what we call coherence. It's not about intensity. It's about harmony. And that harmony turns your body into a tuning fork that attracts experiences, people, and resources that match your mission. But here's the key. You don't find purpose. You recognize it through resonance. Purpose is felt, not figured out. It's what energizes you when no one's watching. It's what calms you when chaos swirls. It's what feels natural even when it's unfamiliar. You don't chase it. You uncover it by stripping away what isn't you. Let's clarify the difference between goals and purpose. A goal is a destination. Purpose is a direction. Goals can change. Purpose stays constant. Goals give motivation. Purpose gives meaning. If your goals aren't plugged into purpose, they become empty achievements. But when they are, every step becomes a transmission of who you are. So how do you access this soul state of coherence? Start here. 1. Identify your energetic blueprint. What do people always come to you for? What gives you peace while others feel pressure? What themes repeat in your life that point to your deeper thread? 2. Reverse engineer fulfillment. Think of the moments in your life when you felt most alive, even if you weren't successful. What were you doing? How were you being? 3. Release identity performance. Purpose isn't performative. It doesn't need a title. It's not coach, leader, or healer. It's presence. It's essence. It's how your energy shifts a room, regardless of the role. 4. Let it be simple. Purpose doesn't need to be flashy. It can be in the way you listen, the way you love, the way you hold space. Don't confuse visibility with value. 5. Feel the pulse. When you're aligned, you'll know. Your nervous system will soften. Your focus will sharpen. Your field will stabilize. You stop chasing power. You realize you are power, because you're living from the deepest layer of truth. Now here's what happens when you enter this soul state of coherence. People trust you faster. Synchronicities increase. Obstacles either dissolve or redirect you clearly. You need fewer words to create impact. You no longer collapse under uncertainty, because your direction is internal. This is the life you were meant to manifest, not a checklist of achievements, but a frequency that radiates coherence. When you're in this state, your energy speaks louder than your goals. You could be silent and the room still shifts, because your field is no longer seeking permission. It's broadcasting truth. Now you're ready for the final layer of this transition. You've felt the soul's signal. You've tasted coherence. But to bring that fully into form, you must learn to make decisions as spells. That's what we'll unlock next. Because nothing commands the quantum field more immediately than a clear, decisive choice made in alignment with purpose. Next, we will show you why choice is sacred technology, and how the universe doesn't wait for you to be perfect. It waits for you to decide. So you've made the choice. You've aligned with your purpose. You've acted from your intuition. You've declared your signal with coherence. But now something even more critical begins. Maintaining your signal. Because what happens immediately after a powerful choice isn't always ease. It's usually friction. The field will test your stability not as punishment but as calibration. And if you haven't trained yourself to hold your signal, you'll start to wobble. That wobble is what kills most manifestations. People make powerful declarations, and then let external circumstances dictate their internal state. They check the bank account, the views, the response, the reaction, And when those things don't align immediately with the outcome they chose, they wobble. They second guess. They retreat. They start broadcasting a mixed signal again. And the field, being accurate, reflects that back. So here's the core truth. What you hold matters more than what you start. The field doesn't reward the moment of decision. It responds to the consistency of the signal after the decision. Because energy stabilizes in rhythm, not in bursts. And intention, when held steady, becomes gravity. It starts to pull everything into place. But if that intention is flickering on one day, off the next, you don't build gravity. You create static. And static doesn't attract. It repels. Now let's look at what causes wobble. Looking for instant results. This is the #1 wobble trigger. When you stare at the outer world for confirmation too soon, you signal to the field that your belief isn't stable yet. Letting emotion override direction. Bad mood? Doesn't matter. Worry? Doesn't matter. Hold the frequency anyway. This isn't bypass, it's discipline. Overconsumption. Too much external information destabilizes inner knowing. You chose don't poll the world after. Feedback dependence. If you need applause to stay committed, you've already surrendered your power. So how do you hold the signal? You build practices of energetic reinforcement. You anchor back into your choice daily, emotionally, somatically. Here's how. 1. Visualize but emotionally. Don't just see the outcome. Feel its inevitability. Train your nervous system to expect it. 2. Speak it aloud. Your voice has frequency. Use it, not to convince others, but to reinforce yourself. 3. Move in alignment. Every action you take in alignment with your choice compounds coherence. It doesn't have to be dramatic. One aligned microaction per day keeps the frequency stable. 4. Ignore temporary contradiction. If reality seems off track, don't wobble. It's often just the old energy echoing on its way out. 5. Re-choose when shaken. Don't analyze the doubt. Don't spiral into why. Just choose again. As often as needed. Decision is a muscle. Now understand this. Holding the signal doesn't mean nothing changes in your outer world. It means you stay rooted even as the old collapses. Because when you hold a new frequency, the parts of your life that were attached to your old frequency will start to fall away. That's normal. Let them. Because your only job is to keep the new pattern active long enough for the quantum to restructure around it. Think of it like tuning an instrument. The first string may feel tight. The notes may sound off. But you keep tuning. You hold. And eventually, resonance arrives. Same with your field. Hold the note. Hold the belief. Hold the emotion. Hold the version of you that chose. The field is listening for one thing only. Is this signal consistent enough to form a structure around? If yes, everything begins to crystallize. So from here forward, treat your decision like law. Not law for others. Law for you. You don't backtrack. You don't wobble. You don't perform coherence. You live it. Next, we will sharpen this signal further by learning how to remove energetic attachments that drain your frequency. Because to hold your power, you must also learn to say no clearly, cleanly, and without guilt. Let's now reveal the hidden tethers in your field and how cutting them multiplies your coherence. You've made the choice. You've committed to the frequency. You've begun holding your signal with clarity and consistency. But now comes a deeper level of energetic alignment, one that most avoid but none can skip, learning how to say no. Because until you cleanly and unapologetically say no to everything that fractures your frequency, you are not coherent. You are not fully available to what you've chosen. You are still dragging noise into your field. This noise isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers as obligation. Sometimes it hides as loyalty. Sometimes it wears the mask of just in case. But no matter how it shows up, the energetic cost is the same. It splits your power. Every yes you offer out of guilt, fear, or performance dilutes the intention you set with your decision. Every boundary you avoid creates static. Every relationship, habit, task, or commitment that no longer resonates becomes an anchor on your alignment. And the universe cannot accelerate momentum around a broadcast that's still entangled in contradiction. So here's the truth. Your growth will eventually require subtraction, not just of things that are toxic, but of things that are tolerable, because tolerable drains your frequency in ways you can't always see. The unspoken expectations, the lingering obligations, the outdated identities you still wear around certain people. These aren't just emotional burdens. They are energetic cords, and cords transmit. They don't just link you to people or places. They create a feedback loop between your current vibration and your old patterns. This is why saying no is more than a boundary. It's a frequency reset. When you say no clearly and without guilt, you are signaling to the field, this no longer reflects who I am. I revoke the connection. I release the contract. I choose coherence over history. That message collapses old timelines instantly, and it frees energy that was previously locked up in managing dissonance. But here's the reason most people avoid this. Saying no forces you to confront your old identity, the part of you that needed to be liked, the version of you that was afraid of being alone, the identity built around usefulness, approval, and invisibility. But if you want to walk as your most aligned self, you must let that version of you die. Not with anger, not with drama, with clarity. You don't need to explain your no. You don't need to justify it. You just need to honor the signal that says, this is no longer me. So let's make this practical. Start with a question. What in your life feels energetically expensive? Not financially, energetically. Who drains you? What habits numb you? What agreements do you dread fulfilling? These are your cords. Now ask, does this still serve my chosen path? Am I keeping this because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? Would I choose this again from my current level of awareness? If the answer is no, then it's time to say no. And that doesn't always mean a dramatic exit. Sometimes it's a quiet decision, a changed response, a shift in access, an energetic boundary that requires no conversation. Because coherence is not about confrontation. It's about precision. Every yes you say from alignment strengthens your signal. Every no you speak from truth purifies it. You're not being cold. You're being clear. You're not abandoning anyone. You're returning to yourself. Now here's the energetic reward. As soon as you cut cords that were never meant to follow you into the next version of your life, your signal sharpens. You stop feeling scattered. You stop seeking external confirmation. You stop wobbling between old and new. Because the bandwidth that was tied up in managing noise becomes available for broadcasting power. And that power accelerates everything. Synchronicities click faster. Opportunities find you with less effort. People respond to your presence, not your performance. Why? Because you're no longer operating from obligation. You're operating from resonance. So here's your challenge. Audit every yes in your life. Audit every open loop. Audit every conversation, commitment, and connection. And ask, does this support the version of me I've chosen to be? If not, cut the cord. Gently, clearly, without guilt. You are not here to maintain energy leaks. You are here to embody clean power. And clean power requires clean signals. Next, we will deepen this understanding by exploring how emotion itself is a form of currency. Because every feeling you spend, hoard, or leak determines the level of access you have to the reality you're building. Let's now expose the truth about emotional economy and why it shapes your manifestation more than any technique. You've begun removing attachments that dull your frequency. You've started saying no to what drains you. You're choosing alignment over obligation. Now you must confront one final layer of energetic management: how you spend your emotions. Because emotion is not just a byproduct of experience. It is an energetic currency. And the way you spend that currency determines the structure of your reality. Every emotional response is a transaction. Every moment of worry is a down payment on the future you're trying to avoid. Every burst of gratitude is a deposit into the timeline you're calling in. Every resentment, every indulgence in anger, Every hour you give to comparison is an expense. And just like with money, when you don't track what you're spending emotionally, you'll wonder why you're bankrupt energetically. So let's get clear. Emotion is energy in motion. That motion either adds to your coherence or fractures it. It either amplifies your manifestation or delays it. The quantum field is always reading your emotional output. Not because it's judgmental, because it's mathematical. Emotion has frequency. Frequency organizes matter. Therefore, your emotional choices are literally building the energetic structure of your future. Now pause and ask, how are you spending your emotional currency right now? Are you investing it in resentment because someone didn't meet your expectations? Are you burning it in worry because your timeline hasn't arrived yet? Are you throwing it away on comparison, scrolling through someone else's highlight reel while questioning your own? Those choices are not harmless. They are energetically expensive, because each one sends a new signal to the field. Each one tilts your trajectory ever so slightly off course. It may seem small, but the cumulative effect is massive. It determines what arrives, when it arrives, and how stable it stays. So here's your shift. Become financially literate with your emotions. Track your energetic income and expenditure. Ask, what feelings are making me richer in alignment? What feelings are overdrafting my vibration? What emotional reactions are recurring and costing me more than I realize? This is emotional intelligence at the quantum level. And it's not about emotional suppression. It's about emotional stewardship. You are allowed to feel everything, but you are not required to build a life around everything you feel. Learn to pause before reacting. Learn to question before projecting. Learn to ask, is this feeling investing in my desired timeline or withdrawing from it? Because feelings are powerful, but when unmanaged, they become liabilities. Now let's take it deeper. Start recognizing compound emotional interest. What you feel consistently over time doesn't just influence reality, it multiplies within it. This is why gratitude practiced daily amplifies unexpected blessings. Why anger unprocessed grows into chronic resistance. Why fear indulged for weeks eventually becomes self-fulfilling. The field is always compounding the emotion you repeat most. So your job isn't to chase good vibes. Your job is to spend emotional energy with discernment. Invest in trust even when proof is absent. Invest in clarity even when confusion tempts. Invest in joy not as denial but as declaration. Each time you do, you build wealth, not financial but frequency wealth. And frequency wealth buys access to timelines that scarcity emotion cannot touch. Think of your field like a spiritual bank account. Every emotion you spend adds to or subtracts from your vibrational net worth. And just like money, wealth grows when you spend less on drama. Save energy during challenges. Invest in expansion. Stop giving away power to people who haven't earned it. This is how you build a sustainable frequency base. One that doesn't crash every time something goes wrong. One that doesn't collapse because of one bad day. One that holds the weight of your manifestations without defaulting to fear. You become emotionally solvent, energetically liquid, vibrationally stable. That's when the field begins opening doors before you knock. Because your consistency becomes the magnet. Your discipline becomes the key. Your frequency becomes the proof. So ask yourself right now, what emotional state am I investing in today? Will this emotion grow my field or fracture it? What am I giving my emotional power to that no longer deserves it? You already know the answers. Now it's time to act accordingly. Next, we will explore the most misunderstood energetic principle of all, stillness. Because while you're learning to invest emotion wisely, there's a frequency even more powerful than activity. Let's now unlock the paradox of manifestation. The more still you become, the more momentum you generate. You've been sharpening your signal. You've begun investing emotion wisely, aligning choice with clarity, saying no with power, and holding your frequency with precision. But now, we unlock a force that goes against everything you were taught to believe about progress. A force so quiet, so subtle, so often misunderstood, yet more potent than most realize. That force is stillness. Stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is not laziness. Stillness is not avoidance. Stillness is field command in its most refined form. Because stillness is what collapses noise. It's the silence that stabilizes the signal. It's the space where scattered energy reforms into coherence. Most people fear stillness. They've been programmed to equate movement with momentum, to believe that unless they're pushing, doing, building, or proving, they're losing ground. But in the quantum field, movement without coherence equals chaos. Stillness, when rooted in alignment, creates gravity. That gravity doesn't come from frantic motion. It comes from a calm center that radiates clarity in all directions. You've felt this before. Think of the people who command a room without raising their voice. The presence that settles the space just by entering it. The kind of silence that feels full, not empty. That is coherent stillness. It's not the absence of action. It's the refusal to scatter. Now let's make this real. Most of the static in your signal doesn't come from bad choices. It comes from unnecessary motion. Mental fidgeting. Energetic scrambling. Overanalyzing. Over-efforting. Over-talking. Over-focusing. Trying to force clarity when clarity is a product of calm. When you're constantly chasing the next move, you break the resonance of the one you just made. And the field responds by reflecting that instability. So you feel like you're doing everything but going nowhere. Here's the correction. Stop trying to outrun uncertainty. Stop trying to manifest by outworking the doubt. Drop into stillness. Stillness is how you exit the mental feedback loop. It's where you let the old momentum die so the new timeline can root. You don't just reset your thoughts. You reset your entire field. Stillness is where contraction softens, where clarity emerges, where the body releases, where the noise falls away. It's in stillness that you realize the thing you've been trying to chase is already present, just obscured by interference. And the more still you become, the more signal you can receive. Because the quantum field is not accessed through tension. It's accessed through resonance. And resonance is born in stillness. Let's look at this another way. Imagine your signal like water. When the surface is agitated, nothing is reflected clearly. But when the surface becomes still, the reflection sharpens. You can see everything. You can feel everything. You can command everything. Because your field is no longer reacting. It's emanating. So how do you integrate stillness into your manifestation process? 1. Schedule stillness as sacred. This isn't about waiting. It's about presence. Even 5 minutes of non-doing allows coherence to return. 2. Breathe intentionally. Your breath is your frequency stabilizer. Deep, slow breath is the fastest way to clear emotional static. 3. Resist the urge to react. When something unexpected happens, pause. Let the field reorganize before you interfere. 4. Sit with your signal. Before making a choice, moving forward, or seeking answers, become still. Let your frequency lead the decision, not your panic. 5. Trust in non-motion. Sometimes, nothing is happening because everything is reorganizing behind the scenes. Stay still. The shift is unfolding. Stillness doesn't remove your power. It centers it. And from that center, the quantum field receives the clearest signal possible. You're no longer broadcasting from anxiety. You're no longer pulsing urgency. You're no longer trying to force form into matter. You've become receptive, still, stable, charged. And in that space, creation accelerates. Because manifestation doesn't happen through pressure. It happens through alignment. And alignment cannot be faked in movement. It must be found in stillness. Now comes the paradox. People often confuse stillness with control. But control is not coherence. In fact, control often distorts the very signal you're trying to hold. So next we'll expose the difference, and why letting go is not weakness, but the final unlock that accelerates everything. You've just learned the power of stillness, how it centers your frequency, how it restores your clarity, how it becomes the launchpad for true coherence. But now we must dismantle a final misunderstanding, one that silently corrupts even the most intentional signal. The belief that control equals coherence. It doesn't. Control is an illusion, one based in fear, not clarity, one rooted in mistrust, not alignment. And as long as your desire to manifest is tangled with the need to control, you will slow down the very outcome you're trying to reach. Control, at its core, is resistance dressed as logic. It sounds like, I'll feel safe when this happens. I'll be okay once I know how it ends. I'm aligned, as long as it goes exactly this way. That's not alignment. That's conditional energy. And the field doesn't respond to conditions. It responds to frequency stability, even amidst uncertainty. So here's the paradox. The more you try to control your path, the more incoherent your energy becomes. You tighten. You micromanage. You question timing. You project fear onto neutral events. And all of that noise pollutes your signal. You start trying to manifest from fear of failure, rather than the joy of creation. And the field picks up on it instantly. Because remember, the quantum doesn't respond to your goal. It responds to the feeling behind the goal. And if that feeling is tension, if it's urgency, if it's manipulation, then that's what gets mirrored back. Let's make this simple. Coherence is surrender. Not surrender as in give up, but surrender as in trust so complete that force becomes unnecessary. True coherence says, I trust the timeline, even if I can't predict it. I trust the field, even if I don't see results yet. I trust myself, regardless of temporary appearances. That kind of trust isn't passive. It's fierce clarity, because it takes far more power to hold your signal without control than it does to micromanage every step. Control scatters. Surrender stabilizes. Control tightens. Surrender expands. Control demands. Surrender receives. Now pause and ask, where in your life are you holding on too tightly? Is it to a timeline, an outcome, person, a version of success? And how is that tension affecting your signal? Here's the deeper truth. When you're in control, you're broadcasting fear. Even if the words are pretty. Even if the affirmations are loud. Even if the strategy looks spiritual. If the energy says, this must happen this way, or I'll collapse, you're not in coherence. You're in survival mode. So what do? You let go of how. You release when. You surrender who. You stay faithful to what, but give the field space to surprise you. Because the universe will always deliver your core frequency. But it rarely does it through your intellectual pathway. That's the point. Your job is the signal. This job is the structure. And the more space you give it to operate, the more elegant the manifestation becomes. This isn't about apathy. This is about trust so deep that you no longer need proof. Because your vibration is already the proof. Now here's the shift that changes everything. Start making decisions from the version of you that doesn't need control to feel safe. The version that can choose, act, and hold energy without needing immediate validation. That version radiates stability. And that stability collapses the field into physical form faster than any hustle. Because when the field senses you've already stabilized the state within, it mirrors that externally without hesitation. You're not chasing the outcome. You are the frequency. You're not proving belief. You embody belief. That's the energy that shortcuts time. That's the signal that overrides obstacles. That's the path that collapses resistance, not through force, but through neutrality. So ask yourself, can I want this and still be calm? Can I choose this and still be flexible? Can I trust this and stop interfering? Because when you can, you'll begin to experience fluid manifestation, results that arrive without struggle, support that emerges without explanation, outcomes that exceed what you were even trying to control. Because the universe isn't just responsive. It's intelligent. It knows what you asked for. It knows what you're aligned with. It knows what's most coherent for your timeline. But it can only deliver when you stop trying to do its job. You're the signal, not the scheduler, not the planner, not the enforcer. You're the broadcaster of energy. So broadcast clarity, then release control, and let the field translate your frequency into form. Next, we will shift into maintenance. You've made the choice. You've learned to hold the signal. You've let go of control. Now let's build a daily system that keeps your field clear before static accumulates. We'll now reveal how to reset your frequency every single day, before misalignment ever takes root. You've learned to trust the field. You've begun to surrender control. You've started broadcasting without need for validation. But now comes the practice that will keep your signal clean, day after day, choice after choice, moment after moment. It's time to talk about daily energetic hygiene. This isn't spiritual fluff. It's not another morning routine checklist. It's not a cute ritual for your calendar. This is quantum maintenance. This is how you clear emotional residue before it hardens into matter. This is how you reset your signal before it begins to fragment. Because here's the truth. Every day you accumulate energetic debris. It comes from conversations that shook your clarity, from micro-wobbles in your trust, from emotional reactions you thought you processed but actually stored. And that debris doesn't vanish just because you ignore it. It starts distorting your field subtly at first. Then obviously, you feel unfocused, you feel heavy, you feel off, without knowing why. And soon enough, your manifestation momentum slows. Not because your desires changed, but because your signal got congested. This is where the quantum cleanse becomes essential. Just like you shower to clean your physical body, you must clean your energetic body to stay coherent. Because coherence isn't a one-time event. It's a state you maintain. And maintenance requires clearing the field before distortion manifests as delay, confusion, or resistance. So what exactly are you clearing? Unspoken thoughts you didn't address. Emotional reactions you didn't express. Micro-decisions you weren't aligned with. Energies you absorbed from others. Patterns you briefly slipped back into. All of these create what we call residual charge. And residual charge accumulates. Left unchecked, it becomes weight. And weight pulls you off your frequency baseline. So let's now map out your daily quantum cleanse. Not a complicated system. Not a spiritual performance. Just a precise, repeatable protocol to return you to alignment, fast. Here's your framework. 1. Stillness check-in, 3 to 5 minutes. Sit in silence, eyes closed. Ask yourself, where did I leak energy today? Let the answers rise. Don't judge, just observe. Awareness begins the clearing. 2. Emotional audit, 2 to 3 minutes. Scan your emotional landscape. What feelings are still swirling? What charged moments haven't been metabolized? Name them. Naming collapses their grip. 3. Cord cut plus return to self, 2 to 3 minutes. Say out loud or internally, I release all energy that is not mine. I return all borrowed emotion. I reclaim my field in full. Then breathe. Feel your energy retract and recenter. 4. Re-choose the signal, 2 to 3 minutes. Ask, what frequency do I now choose to broadcast? Name it. Calm, clarity, trust, expansion. Hold it. Anchor it. Embody it. 5. Completion breath, 1 minute. 3 deep breaths. Inhale coherence. Exhale distortion. Repeat. Let your system settle. Total time? Under 15 minutes. Impact? Massive. Because this practice doesn't just prevent chaos, it accelerates alignment. You become lighter, sharper, less reactive, more magnetic. And that magnetism compounds. Because the field responds not just to what you want, but to how clean your channel is. Think of this like brushing your frequency. Not to fix anything, but to prevent buildup. To keep your field agile, clear, and optimized. Now here's the key. Don't wait until things go wrong to cleanse your energy. Make it a non-negotiable maintenance ritual. Because manifestation is not about force, it's about flow. And flow can't occur in a cluttered field. With this simple protocol, you'll start noticing faster emotional recovery, increased synchronicity, smoother decision-making, clearer intuition, less energetic fatigue. You're not resetting to zero. You're restoring your original signal. Because underneath the residue, your coherence is untouched, always present, always available. You just have to clear the interference. Next, we will amplify this momentum by exploring what happens when you sleep. Because your body may rest, but your field does not. Let's now uncover how your dreams continue broadcasting your signal, and how to program your subconscious for precision while you sleep. You've begun cleansing the field. You've learned how to release daily distortion. You've made coherence a practice, not a performance. But now comes a deeper layer, one that most overlook entirely. What happens when you sleep? Most people think sleep is rest, and it is for your body. But your energy, your consciousness, your signal, they keep broadcasting. They keep interacting with the field. They keep shaping timelines, especially when your analytical mind is offline. This means the emotional and energetic state you fall asleep in matters more than most people realize. Because your subconscious takes the night shift. And while your ego sleeps, your quantum transmitter is in full operation. Whatever frequency was active as you drifted into unconsciousness continues to echo through the night, and that echo informs what unfolds the next day. This is why your pre-sleep frequency is sacred. It's a doorway, an opening, a vulnerable space where you either reinforce coherence or slip into chaos. So what determines your overnight broadcast? The final thoughts you think before sleep, the emotional residue you carry into dreams, the stories your subconscious is still looping, the intentions you fail to reset before rest. Every one of those is either amplifying your chosen reality or eroding it from within. So let's get practical. Here's how to optimize your sleep state for quantum broadcasting. 1. Final thought reset. Before bed, ask, what am I thinking as I fall asleep? Replace mental chatter with a chosen belief. Example, I am already living from the version of me who has it. This thought becomes your energetic signature during rest. 2. Emotional tuning. Scan your body. Is there tension, frustration, unresolved energy? Don't push it down. Transmute it. A few deep breaths. A journal sentence. A whispered intention to release. You don't need hours. You need intention. 3. Pre-sleep signal imprint. As you lay in bed, visualize your desired outcome. Not as a dream, but as a memory. Feel the frequency of already having it. Then hold that emotion, not the image, as you fall asleep. This emotion becomes your overnight broadcast. 4. Ask and receive. Your subconscious is accessible during sleep. Ask questions without needing answers now. Example, what is my next aligned step? What belief do I need to shift? Don't overthink it. Ask, trust, sleep. Let the field organize the response. 5. Limit last-minute static. Scrolling social media, watching chaos, reading emails, these are not neutral acts. They load your system with interference. Protect your final input. Sleep is sacred space. Treat it like ritual, not routine. Now let's talk about dreams. Your dreams aren't random. They are symbolic maps of your current signal. They show you what's unresolved. They reveal what's integrating. They mirror what your conscious mind is resisting. That recurring dream is feedback. That chaotic scene, it's your signal trying to organize. That peaceful moment, it's coherence settling in. You don't need to interpret everything, but you must notice the patterns. Ask upon waking, what did I feel in that dream? Was it aligned with my chosen timeline or not? What is my field showing me about my frequency? You'll start seeing messages. You'll start receiving direction. You'll begin decoding the language of your own subconscious field. Now here's where it gets even more powerful. Your sleep state is when the ego is quiet. That's your moment to install beliefs that would otherwise get blocked during the day. So before bed, say aloud, I authorize this version of reality. I release the past signal. I align with the field of insert frequency. Trust, abundance, clarity, love. This is what broadcasts while I rest. The more you do this, the more your sleep becomes an alignment amplifier. You'll wake up lighter. You'll start the day coherent without having to fix anything. Because your field didn't take the night off. It was working for you. All you did was give it the right instructions. Let this be your new understanding. Sleep is not pause. It is passive signal expansion. And if you learn to use it wisely, you turn every night into an acceleration point. Your next evolution? Stack this sleep state alignment with your morning momentum. Because how you start the next day either confirms or collapses the signal you broadcasted overnight. Next, we'll show you how to make the first 15 minutes of your day a launchpad for precision, speed, and power. You've now discovered how your sleep state continues to broadcast your signal throughout the night. You've learned to imprint your frequency before rest and read your dreams as energetic messages. You're no longer unconscious about your unconscious field. But what you do when you wake up, that's your next frontier. Because the first 15 minutes of your day are not neutral. They are foundational. They form the vibrational architecture of the next 24 hours. Why? Because right when you wake, your mind is most impressionable. Your ego hasn't fully booted up. Your subconscious is still transmitting. Your energy is still soft, moldable, open. And whatever you imprint in that window becomes the baseline frequency you emit for the rest of the day. So here's the mistake most people make. They wake up and immediately check their phone. They scroll someone else's life. They read news that fractures their nervous system. They open apps that flood them with pressure and noise. And in doing so, they forfeit the most magnetic window of the day to external interference. By the time they've brushed their teeth, their field is already congested. Not because anything bad happened, but because they didn't own their opening frequency. And the field always echoes back your opening tone. This is why morning momentum isn't a motivational concept. It's quantum mechanics. Your signal gets set by the state you choose first. So let's build your new protocol. The simple, not fluffy, not fake, just clear frequency calibration. Here are your first 15 minutes of power. 1. Wake with awareness. Don't grab your phone. Don't check anything. Let your consciousness return slowly. Use that transitional moment to choose a feeling. Ask yourself, what signal do I want to lead with today? Gratitude? Confidence? Peace? Joy? Clarity? Pick it. Feel it. Don't chase it, become it. 2. Breath anchoring 2 to 3 minutes. Before getting up, take 5 slow breaths. Match your inhale to your chosen frequency. Example, inhale trust, exhale fear. Let your nervous system feel safety before the world interrupts. 3. Spoken signal claim 1 to 2 minutes. Say this or your own version aloud. This is the frequency I walk in today. I choose clarity over noise. I lead with alignment. I am a transmitter of insert chosen frequency, and everything in my field reflects it. You are not hoping for alignment. You are commanding it. 4. Conscious movement 3 to 5 minutes. This is not a workout. This is a wake-up ritual. Stretch, walk, shake. Move your body with the awareness that it's broadcasting. Because your body is the antenna, and how you move it early sets the tone of what it emits. 5. No external input. Avoid digital noise for at least 15 minutes. The earlier you allow in contradiction, the faster your signal collapses. This isn't just about discipline. It's about ownership of your field. You're not avoiding the world. You're claiming your signal before the world gets a chance to program it for you. Now here's the deeper layer. Morning momentum is not just about frequency. It's about identity anchoring. In those early moments, you're not just choosing a feeling. You're reinforcing a self-concept. You're telling the field, this is the version of me I identify with today, and I expect reality to respond accordingly. That identity becomes your energetic filter. It decides what you notice, what you magnetize, what you ignore, what you amplify. If you don't choose it, your past will. Because your past signal is always ready to resume unless interrupted. Morning is your window to interrupt it. So here's what to remember. Don't aimlessly repeat affirmations. Don't mindlessly mimic rituals. Don't try to force yourself into a feeling that's not real. Instead, align with the most believable emotion available and expand from there. Some days that might be full joy. Other days it might just be calm. Both are valid. Both are enough. Both shift the field. Because this isn't about hype. is about signal precision. And precision requires honesty with yourself, followed by clarity in your frequency. So ask, am I letting the world decide my tone each day? Or am I starting the day as the architect of my field? You already know the answer. Now it's time to make the first 15 minutes of every day your quantum launchpad. Next, we refine this further by zooming in even tighter. You've mastered the macro. Now we shift into the micro choices that send signals all day long. You've just discovered the importance of your morning signal. You've seen how your first few minutes form your energetic baseline. You've taken control of how your day begins, through awareness, breath, clarity, and intentional frequency. But that opening tone is just the beginning, because throughout the day, your field is constantly broadcasting updates. And what sends those updates? Micro decisions, tiny choices, small reactions, split-second yeses and nos, most of which happen unconsciously. You don't think they matter, but they do. Every single one is an instruction to the field. Every one is a vote for your signal. Say yes to something from fear, the field hears, keep sending more pressure. Say no to something from power, the field hears, they're clear, stabilize their signal. These are not metaphors. They are energetic transactions. And your frequency isn't just shaped by the big life decisions. It's sculpted daily by the small, seemingly insignificant moments. The text you reply to even though you didn't want to. The snack you reach for when you're avoiding discomfort. The agreement you say yes to out of guilt. The self-criticism you allow to loop unchecked. The way you collapse your posture instead of holding your stance. Each one is a signal. And over time, these microsignals build momentum. Momentum that becomes identity. Momentum that becomes reality. So let's get clear. You are not just a product of your major choices. You are a product of your repeating microsignals. And those signals are programmable. The first step? Bring awareness to them. Start asking, what frequency am I choosing right now in this tiny decision? Am I acting from fear or clarity? Am I protecting my coherence or compromising it? This simple check-in begins to shift everything. Because awareness creates space. And space creates choice. Let's break this down. Types of micro-decisions that shape your field. 1. Emotional response. You feel triggered. Do you explode, suppress, or regulate? Your choice tells the field how stable your emotional energy is. That choice teaches the field how to test or support you next. 2. Language. You speak doubt. You make jokes about failure. You use sarcasm that reflects inner fear. These words aren't just casual. They are command phrases. They install instructions into your subconscious. The field hears them as truth. 3. Posture and breath. You hunch. You hold your breath. You clench. Your body starts broadcasting contraction. That tension becomes your signal, even if your mind says you're positive. 4. Social interaction. You say yes when you meant no. You over-explain. You shrink your truth to avoid discomfort. The field reads this as, I don't trust my own signal. Please adjust reality accordingly. 5. Environment. You keep clutter. You tolerate noise. You surround yourself with low-frequency environments. All of this feeds your baseline frequency and keeps you aligned with the very stagnation you want to leave. Now here's the shift. Start treating every micro-decision as a sacred moment of signal selection. Not from paranoia, not from pressure, but from power. Because each time you pause and ask, what is the most coherent choice I can make right now? You align with your chosen field. And that repetition builds energetic gravity. Your decisions stop contradicting each other. Your frequency becomes fluid, not fragmented. Your field stops scrambling to guess what you actually want. It begins delivering clarity, because you're finally broadcasting it consistently. And consistency is the key to signal reinforcement. Now here's your protocol. Micro-coherence practice. Throughout your day, pause at any point and ask, what signal am I sending with this yes? What frequency does this no reinforce? Is this thought matching my chosen reality? Even just 5 to 10 of these check-ins per day will shift your life, because you'll stop unconsciously leaking power and start consciously building frequency equity. This is how you master momentum. You don't need massive breakthroughs. You need consistent micro-alignment. That's what builds field precision. That's what commands reality. That's what turns desire into embodiment. So from now on, treat every yes as a declaration. Treat every no as a boundary spell. Treat every small decision as a cosmic instruction. Next, we reveal how to turn all this alignment into the final act of quantum signal mastery. You stop trying. You stop pretending. You stop waiting. You start living it now. Because nothing collapses timelines faster than embodiment. You've just witnessed how every micro-decision sends an energetic command. You've begun realizing that your signal isn't created once. It's reinforced moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath. But now we step beyond maintenance. We step into the ultimate frequency upgrade, not thinking about the timeline, not visualizing the outcome, but living from it right now. This is embodiment, and embodiment is not pretending. It's not acting as if from desperation. It's not a fake-it-till-you-make-it game. Embodiment is occupying the frequency of your desired reality so completely that the field has no choice but to mirror it. It's the full body, full mind, full signal message that says, "This is already me. I'm no longer hoping. I'm no longer waiting. I am now." That energy collapses timelines, because the universe doesn't work on logic. It doesn't care about your calendar. It reads your identity vibration. And when your identity shifts from desiring to being, the field adjusts immediately. Let's break this down. There's a massive difference between wanting and embodying. Wanting says, "I hope this happens. I'm not there yet, but I want to be. I'm trying to align with it." The field hears this as, "They are currently not the thing they seek." Maintain delay, mirror distance. Embodying says, "This is who I am now. My choices reflect the end result. My frequency has arrived, so the world will too." And the field mirrors that with accelerated clarity. Here's what most people miss. Embodiment isn't about faking it. It's about replacing the signal of lack with a signal of now. You don't have to lie to yourself. You just have to stop identifying with the version of you that lacks. Let's make this practical. Start asking, how does the version of me who already has this feel in their body? How do they speak? How do they respond to delays? How do they treat themselves when no one is watching? How do they start the day, carry themselves, close conversations? Then start living from those answers, not someday but now. You're not pretending. You're aligning. You're not waiting. You're collapsing time through congruence. Let's be clear. Embodiment isn't perfection. It doesn't mean you never wobble. It doesn't mean you suppress contrast. It means that even in your wobble, you return to your chosen identity faster. Because your baseline has shifted. You're no longer emotionally outsourcing your frequency to circumstances. You've claimed the role of the signal before the proof arrives. And that kind of coherence pulls reality toward you. Now let's break a common myth. You don't have to change your entire life overnight to embody the timeline. Start with micro-embodiment. Micro-embodiment looks like walking with the posture of someone who trusts the outcome. Speaking from resolution, not anxiety. Choosing food, friends, and focus that match your next-level self. Making decisions from abundance, even when it's not visible yet. Treating your time like it belongs to someone who already has their vision. These aren't fake moves. They are alignment rituals. Each one sends a message to the field. I am already the version I claimed. Now mirror me accordingly. This is how embodiment builds gravity. Not from effort, from signal authority. Because here's what embodiment does. Collapses waiting timelines. It ends the separation between here and there. It eliminates neediness, which kills coherence. It sharpens your intuition. It organizes your environment to match your new frequency. And most importantly, it dissolves the illusion that you're not already it. Because you are. You just need to choose that identity with your behavior, not just your thoughts. Now here's the key. Your external world might not shift instantly. That's not a sign of failure. That's a confirmation signal. The field is recalibrating. Don't break the signal just because the echo isn't instant. Hold the broadcast. Hold the posture. Hold the decision. And the mirror must eventually reflect it. You are not here to chase outcomes. You are here to live as if reality has already caught up to you. And when you do, it will. Now we take embodiment one step deeper. If you're living the signal now, what is life showing you about it? Let's now turn your attention to the mirror in front of you every second of every day. Your current reality. You're now living it. You've stepped into embodiment. You're broadcasting now, not hope, not need, not someday. But there's one final upgrade to your awareness that will make your coherence unshakable. Learning to read your life as feedback. Because the field is not silent. It's not mysterious. It's not random. It's a mirror. A multidimensional, non-judging, relentlessly accurate reflection of the signal you're actually emitting. And that mirror is your greatest tool for alignment, if you know how to read it. Let's get one thing clear. Your current life isn't punishing you. It's not denying you. It's not testing your worth. It's reporting back to you. It's showing you precisely, consistently what your dominant broadcast has been. Your relationships, mirrors of your self-worth signal. Your finances, mirrors of your trust in support. Your environment, mirrors of your energetic hygiene. Your repeated experiences, mirrors of your core identity beliefs. Your delays and detours, mirrors of your inner wobble. This isn't about blame. It's about clarity. If you don't like the reflection, don't shatter the mirror. Change the signal. And here's how to begin. Start with radical observation. Without judgment. Without defensiveness. Without spinning stories. Just look. What themes keep showing up in your world? Do people constantly misunderstand you? That might signal unclear expression. Do situations consistently delay progress? That might reflect unconscious fear of expansion. Do you attract emotionally unavailable people? That might mirror your avoidance of vulnerability. Do opportunities show up and disappear? That might reflect an internal belief that you're not ready yet. Every pattern is a projection. Every frustration is a frequency echo. Every delay is a divine diagnostic. You're not being blocked. You're being informed. The question is, will you listen to your life? Will you treat your outer world as a real-time biofeedback system? Because it is. And once you do, you stop trying to fight, fix, or control it. You start asking, what is this showing me about me? Where does my inner broadcast not match my outer request? What belief is this outcome stabilizing? This is how you exit victimhood. You become the reader of the field, the analyst of your alignment, the decoder of your own broadcast. Now here's where most people slip. They think changing the signal will create instant shifts. Sometimes it does. But sometimes the field continues reflecting the old echo for a while. Don't mistake that for failure. See it as the last layer of confirmation. A test? No. An opportunity to prove that your frequency is no longer fragile. Here's your shift. Stop reacting to life as if it has power over you. Start interpreting life as if it's responding to you. Because it is. So let's get practical. Reality decoding ritual. Once a day, ask, what showed up today that felt aligned? What showed up that felt off? What could those things be mirroring in my signal? What small shift can I make to realign? This practice sharpens your awareness. It ends confusion. It speeds up coherence. Because you're no longer walking through life in the dark. You're moving through a mirrored field with a map. And the mirror doesn't lie. It only reflects. So here's the final mastery. Treat every experience as signal feedback. Not to obsess, but to refine. Because the more precisely you read the field, the faster you can adjust. And the faster you adjust, the smoother your reality responds. This is self-awareness upgraded. This is manifestation demystified. This is frequency intelligence. Next, we will go one level deeper into reading your life by confronting the contrast. Not resisting it, but using it. Because when contrast shows up, it's not blocking you. It's guiding you to your next transmission. You've learned to see your life as a mirror. You're beginning to read patterns, recognize projections, and identify how your world is reporting your vibration. But now we turn toward what most people instinctively reject: contrast, pain, discomfort, frustration, delay. These are not accidents. They are not punishments. They are not signs that the universe is ignoring you. They are data points. More than that, they're invitations. Contrast is not a disruption of the signal. It's the moment you become aware of what you've been broadcasting unconsciously. And when interpreted properly, contrast becomes clarity. Think about it. How do you know you're broadcasting lack? When you feel envy. How do you know you're not in alignment? When ease disappears and struggle becomes your norm. How do you know you've outgrown something? When it starts feeling smaller than your truth. None of that is failure. It's refinement. And it's sacred. But here's where most get stuck. They feel the contrast and collapse into fear. They judge the contrast and assume they're doing something wrong. They resist the contrast and try to positive think their way out. That resistance freezes the field. Because when you label contrast as bad, you cut off the flow of energy. Instead, you must train yourself to lean into it, with awareness, with neutrality, with the question, what's this showing me about my next alignment? Let's break this down. Contrast serves two powerful roles. 1. It exposes incoherence. When you want one thing, but your beliefs contradict it, life will press that contradiction into view. Not to shame you, but to reveal the split. That conflict must surface before it can be harmonized. 2. It sharpens the signal. When you experience what you don't want, you get clearer on what you do. Contrast forces definition, and clarity creates coherence. Most people try to manifest clarity in the absence of contrast. But clarity is often the product of friction. The tension reveals the truth. The pressure extracts precision. So if your path is full of contrast, consider this. You're being refined, not punished, not delayed, not blocked. You're being aligned with what you've actually asked for by revealing what still contradicts it. This isn't theoretical. Every painful relationship, a signal about your boundaries. Every financial loop, a mirror of your self-value. Every creative block, a reflection of your fear of being seen. Contrast isn't just circumstantial. It's deeply diagnostic. So here's your new assignment. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this friction telling me about my field? You'll be shocked how quickly clarity arrives when the judgment ends. Let's get practical. Contrast clarity practice. When you feel discomfort, do this. Pause. Don't distract. Don't escape. Breathe. Ask, what signal does this feeling contradict? Ask, what truth about myself is trying to emerge? Ask, what am I ready to stop tolerating in my frequency? Write it down. Sit with it. Feel your emotional compass redirect. Because pain is often a detour signal, not from your power, but back to it. It's the field saying, you've outgrown this. Update the signal. We're waiting on your next command. This is how contrast becomes cooperation. Not something you fight, something you read. Not something to suppress, something to translate. The moment you stop resisting contrast, it becomes your coherence compass. It doesn't mean the discomfort always disappears instantly, but it means you're no longer lost inside it. You're extracting the message. You're evolving the frequency. You're letting contrast be what it's always been, clarity in disguise, and that clarity speeds up your realignment. So from now on, stop asking for ease without insight. Instead, trust the moments that feel sharp, because they are carving your next alignment path. Next, we turn from temporary discomfort to recurring loops. Why does contrast sometimes become repetition? Let's now expose the hidden signals behind cycles you can't seem to break. You've now begun listening to contrast. You've stopped labeling friction as failure. You're using discomfort to fine-tune your frequency. But what happens when the contrast repeats? When the same type of relationship keeps showing up? When money keeps slipping away in the same pattern? when you feel like you're living the same scene with different characters. Welcome to the realm of energetic loops. And today we will expose them. You've likely heard terms like karma, destiny, or fate to explain life's repetitions. But we're not here for spiritual generalities. We're here to pinpoint what's really happening. Repeating patterns are not cosmic punishment. They are quantum feedback mechanisms. They persist because your signal hasn't changed enough to shift the outcome. Let's name this properly. A karmic loop is a feedback cycle caused by unresolved energetic imprints. A quantum gap is the distance between your current signal and your desired timeline. Both look like repetition, but their source and their solution are different. Let's decode both. Karmic loop, a cycle anchored by an identity belief. Examples: I'm always left behind. I don't deserve consistent support. Love equals sacrifice. Success must require struggle. These aren't surface thoughts. They are embedded identities. They form energetic blueprints that attract the same outcomes over and over. Until you upgrade the identity, the loop stays. No matter how many affirmations you chant, no matter how many vision boards you create, because the loop is matching your self-image, not your surface intention. Quantum gap, a cycle caused by inconsistent signal stabilization. You know what you want. You align for a few days, then you wobble. You realign, then you panic. Your signal flickers, and so the field mirrors mixed results. You're not stuck in karma. You're stuck in incoherence. The gap here is one of consistency, not belief. And once your frequency stabilizes beyond the old signal, the loop dissolves. So how do you identify which is which? Ask yourself, is this rooted in a belief about who I am? Karmic, is this the result of signal wobble? Quantum gap, both require different medicine. To resolve karmic loops, you must rewrite identity. Ask, who was I being when this pattern started? What did I believe about myself then? What belief must collapse for this pattern to stop? This is not mental work alone. You must make new decisions that reflect the new identity. Until you choose from the upgraded self, the old loop persists. To close quantum gaps, you must stabilize signal. Ask, when do I feel the most aligned with this desire? What thoughts or habits break that alignment? What would it look like to stop reacting and just hold the frequency? Repetition is not always a problem, but unconscious repetition is. Once you become conscious of your role in the loop, you hold the power to break it. Here's your field diagnostic tool. Loop interruption protocol. Name the pattern. Ask, what emotion always accompanies this loop? Ask, what decision do I keep avoiding because it would end the loop? Ask, what version of me benefits from keeping this pattern alive? Now choose. Choose to embody the version that no longer aligns with the loop. Because patterns aren't broken by waiting. They're broken by shifting identity plus stabilizing signal long enough for the field to reroute. Yes, that requires awareness. Yes, that requires trust. Yes, that requires letting go of the comfort of familiarity. But your next level isn't hiding. It's just waiting for you to stop rebroadcasting the frequency of your past. That's how you end loops. You stop becoming the version of you that attracts them. You are not stuck. You are simply stabilized in an outdated pattern. Update the signal and the loop dissolves. Now we move to the feedback you do want. Moments that feel too aligned to be coincidence. Let's now decode synchronicity, not as magic, but as the language of a listening universe. You've just understood the patterns that loop. You've learned how to break karmic repetition and close quantum gaps. You're no longer trapped in cycles. You're observing them with authority. But what about those moments that feel like perfect alignment? That uncanny timing? That email, song, or stranger who says exactly what you were thinking? Those aren't random. They're not coincidences. They're synchronicities, and they're the universe speaking. And once you learn the language, you'll never feel unsupported again. Here's what you need to understand first. Synchronicity is confirmation. It's not predictive. It's responsive. It's the field echoing back to you. Yes, keep going. No, that's not aligned. Pause. You're shifting signals. These messages aren't always verbal. They're vibrational. They're delivered in symbols, numbers, conversations, accidents, delays. And every one of them is a response to your current frequency, not your hopes. The question is, are you reading the signals or dismissing them? Let's now refine your awareness. 3 types of synchronicity feedback. 1. Green light syncs, accelerated alignments. These are the nudges that feel like flow. You think of someone, they call. You imagine a result, it appears. You set an intention, then see 3 doors open. This is not random good luck. It's your frequency locking in with the field's response. When these appear, double down. Stay the course. That's the field saying, yes, this signal is stable. Let's magnify it. 2. Interruption syncs, delays, and redirects. These are less fun but just as important. Plans fall through. Meetings get canceled. You hit a wall unexpectedly. This isn't failure. This is feedback. The field is saying, this path no longer fits your updated frequency. Wait, shift, listen. If you ignore it, the resistance grows. If you listen, the reroute appears. 3. Mirror syncs, repeating messages from multiple sources. This is when 3 different people mention the same book. Or you hear a phrase 3 times in 24 hours. Or you keep seeing the same symbol everywhere. These are not accidents. The universe repeats what you're not yet fully hearing. Mirror syncs are gentle but firm nudges to pay attention. Ask, what idea keeps finding me? Then take aligned action. Because once you act, the repetition stops. You've received the message. Now here's the key. You cannot force synchronicity, but you can invite it by stabilizing your signal. The more coherent your energy, the louder and clearer the signs become. And when you trust them, you build momentum fast. Let's create your synchronicity decoder practice. When something surprising happens, pause. Ask, what energy was I in just before this? When a delay occurs, ask, was I moving from alignment or fear? When repetition shows up, ask, what am I being guided to act on or release? Then write it down. Name it. Act on it. Because clarity doesn't come from just asking. It comes from receiving and responding. Now you've decoded the whispers, let's address the silence. Why do things sometimes feel still, even when you're aligned? Let's now unveil one of the most misunderstood phenomena in manifestation, the echo lag. You've now tuned into the whispers. You've learned to recognize signs as responses. You've felt the thrill of alignment and the truth in redirects. But then it happens. You do everything right. You stabilize your frequency. You embody the outcome. You act from coherence. And nothing seems to change. This is where most people give up. They assume the field isn't listening. They drop their signal. And they loop back into doubt. But they missed one key principle. They hit the echo lag and mistook it for silence. Let's explain this clearly. The echo lag is the time between your internal shift and its full external reflection. It's not punishment. It's physics. You've just changed the signal. But the field is still echoing the previous broadcast. It's like yelling into a canyon. You shout something new, but the echo of your last sentence is still bouncing back for a while. If you confuse the echo for your current signal, you think it's not working. But it is. You're simply in the lag. Here's why this matters. The echo lag is not a test of your worth. It's a test of your consistency. Can you hold the new frequency long enough for the field to update? Because most people shift their energy, but collapse before the mirror catches up. And the field doesn't reward instability. It reflects certainty. So how do you stay solid when things feel stalled? You reframe the silence as a signal upgrade buffer. Here's what's really happening during the lag. Old patterns are being dismantled. External pieces are being rearranged. Your nervous system is stabilizing the new frequency. Your reality is waiting to confirm that you won't revert. That's not failure. That's energetic buffering. Let's make this even more tactical. Echo lag signs. You feel emotionally stable, but outer results seem unchanged. You receive strange tests or old pattern invitations. You notice almosts and not quites. You feel clearer than ever, but outcomes are still pending. Here's how to respond. 1. Acknowledge the echo. Say, "This is not my current signal. It's the echo of my old one. I hold my new frequency. I trust the reflection is updating." 2. Anchor through action. Don't wait for reality to shift. Act from the aligned self anyway. Every embodied action is proof to the field. I'm not collapsing. I'm congruent. 3. Stay out of the proof trap. Stop asking, "Is it working yet? Where's my result? Why hasn't it shown up?" These questions reveal doubt, and doubt resets the signal. Instead, declare, "It's inevitable. My job is frequency. Reality follows." 4. Track subtle shifts. Look for tiny signs, not the big reveal. Your reaction to stress changes. Your emotional recovery speeds up. People treat you differently. Unexpected opportunities start to appear. These are pre-shocks of the shift. Celebrate them. They are signs the field is realigning. And remember this, the silence you feel is not absence. It's integration. The field is catching up. Your embodiment is being reinforced. Your nervous system is preparing for new magnitude. Don't interrupt the process. Hold. Hold even when it's quiet. Hold even when the doubt whispers. Hold even when nothing seems to move. Because the shift always comes right after the temptation to fall back. That's the edge. That's the final threshold. And those who cross it, they don't manifest by luck. They manifest by vibrational endurance. So if it feels quiet, still, or stuck right now, good. That means the field is reorganizing. You're not being ignored. You're being aligned. Next, we bring you tools, not theories, to audit, refine, and restabilize your signal with precision every single day. You've just confronted the silence of the echo lag. You now understand that nothing is wrong when results stall, unless you shift back into doubt. You've begun holding your field with steadiness, not panic. But stability isn't just for moments of silence. It's a skill, a daily one, and now it's time to install that skill into your system with precision. Welcome to the Alignment Audit, a 5-minute ritual that will keep your frequency clear, updated, and accountable without overthinking or over-efforting. Why is this necessary? Because your energy shifts all day long. And even if you wake aligned, life brings contrast. You interact with people. You experience delays. You scroll, react, question, compare, absorb. And before you realize it, you've slipped from coherence into confusion. Most don't notice the wobble until their reality collapses or their body shuts down. But you won't wait that long. You're going to become a master of frequency tracking. And it starts with a scan. Let's break it down. The alignment audit isn't a journal prompt. It's a daily energetic scan to check 3 things. What signal am I broadcasting right now? Is this signal matching the reality I've chosen? What micro-adjustment would restore coherence? That's it. 3 questions. But they demand honesty, not affirmation. Because coherence isn't positivity. It's clarity. So how do you do it? Set aside 5 minutes. Ideally in the early evening or late afternoon, before your day closes. Sit in stillness. Breathe. Drop into your body. Now ask. 1. What's the dominant emotion I've carried today? Not fleeting moods. The dominant one. Was it certainty? Frustration? Pressure? Peace? This reveals the frequency you've been most stabilized in. 2. What thought pattern or identity has been leading me? Have you been the empowered creator? The panicked problem solver? The abandoned one? The self-trusting one? This tells you whether your embodiment is holding or reverting. 3. Did my actions reflect my desired timeline or contradict it? Did you speak like the version of you who has already arrived? Or did you shrink, wobble, over-explain, or abandon yourself? This is the congruence check. If all 3 answers point to coherence, lock it in. Celebrate the stability. Reinforce the alignment. Feel the gravity build. If there's a mismatch, adjust. Not with guilt, not with shame, with signal refinement. Now choose the new frequency. Speak it, anchor it, then return to your evening from that place. You don't have to fix the whole day. You just have to end it with clarity. Because the field records your last signal. And your sleep state picks up where your waking state left off. Here's the mistake most make. They overprocess their misalignments. They spiral into analysis. They use the audit to criticize. But awareness is not an attack. It's a diagnostic. You're not punishing yourself for slipping. You're becoming conscious of your energetic choices. And that consciousness becomes precision. And precision collapses timelines. Let's say you missed the mark today. You reacted. You doubted. You dimmed your voice. So what? End the day with new alignment. You can re-anchor in 5 minutes. And that realignment ensures your next experience doesn't echo the wobble. It reflects the shift. This is quantum self-accountability. So integrate this. 5 minutes a day. 3 questions. Honest answers. Micro adjustments. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present with your field. That's the new power. Now, what if the signal is completely scrambled? What if no clarity comes? What if the emotion is too chaotic to track? That's when we access a deeper technology. The 0-point reset. You've just installed your alignment audit. You now hold a daily system to track, refine, and realign your signal. But what about the days that aren't trackable? The days when emotion takes over, when clarity vanishes, when you're triggered, scattered, numbed, or overwhelmed. This is not when you fix your vibration. This is when you reset it. Welcome to the 0 point. What is it? It's not a place. It's a state. A return to neutral, not numbness, not indifference, but vibrational zero, where the noise quiets, the static stills, and your field begins again. 0 point is your re-entry gate into alignment. Because here's the truth. Trying to recalibrate your signal from chaos rarely works. You end up layering thoughts on top of stress, forcing clarity from confusion, chasing calm from tension. That creates false coherence, which collapses instantly. Instead, you must access non-reactive stillness. That's what the 0 point offers. It's not emotional suppression. It's energetic recalibration. And it's available at any time. Let's walk into it. When to use the 0 point reset. After emotional surges. In moments of spiraling thought. When your audit returns inconclusive. When nothing you're doing seems to shift your state. Now here's the process. Step 1. Pause everything. No more affirmations. No problem solving. No trying to shift. Just stop. You're not here to manifest in this moment. You're here to reclaim energetic baseline. Step 2. Anchor into body. Sit or stand still. Close your eyes. Place a hand on your heart or belly. Feel the weight of your body. Let sensation bring you into the now. Say internally, I return to 0. No pressure. No polarity. Just presence. Step 3. Neutral breath pattern. Inhale 4 counts. Hold 4 counts. Exhale 4 counts. Hold 4 counts. Do this 4 times. This pattern regulates the nervous system and signals your field. We are safe to reset. Step 4. 0 statement. Now speak this or something similar. I am not the thought. I am not the fear. I am not the doubt. I am the presence observing it all. From here I choose again. You're not affirming a new timeline. You're clearing the board. Step 5. Wait for the shift. Sometimes it comes in 30 seconds. Sometimes in 5 minutes. But a shift always arrives. You'll feel it. The tightness releases. The urgency dissolves. The noise flattens. The heart softens. This is 0. From here, you don't leap into intention. You breathe. You listen. You allow clarity to reemerge. Then, and only then, you can rebroadcast. Because a signal sent from 0 is clean. It doesn't carry desperation, guilt, or pressure. It carries clarity, even if soft. And soft clarity is more powerful than loud panic. Now let's be honest. You'll forget to use this. That's okay. But make it a tool you return to again and again until it becomes instinct. The goal isn't to live in 0. The goal is to know the way back to it anytime the field fragments. Because when you reset to 0, you don't just calm down. You reclaim authorship. You return to the command seat. You rise out of emotion and into truth. This is how you stay coherent without forcing positivity. And this is how you show the field. I am not the chaos. I am the signal. And I choose when and how it's sent. Next, we access your nervous system directly through the hidden power of heart-brain synchronization. You've just accessed the 0 point. You now understand how to return to energetic neutrality, clearing emotional static before it distorts your field. That reset gives you stillness. But stillness by itself is not signal. Now it's time to generate the most powerful signal you can emit. Not from the mind alone, not from the heart alone, but from the synchronization of both. This is heart-brain coherence. And it's not a concept. It's a measurable, trainable, usable state that collapses internal chaos and broadcasts unmistakable vibrational clarity. Let's be clear. Most people are fragmented because their brain and heart are sending opposite signals. The brain says, "Let's go." The heart whispers, "Wait." The brain obsesses. The heart contracts. The nervous system scrambles. This internal mismatch creates incoherence, and the field mirrors it. But when the heart and brain sync, something extraordinary happens. Your thoughts stabilize. Your emotions harmonize. Your nervous system relaxes. And your electromagnetic signal becomes so coherent that the quantum field takes it as a command. That's not poetry. That's physics. Heart-brain coherence creates a sustained, unified frequency. And in that frequency, you become magnetic. So how do you enter this state? Let's build the ritual. The simple, but not shallow. Step 1. Enter stillness. Sit upright, hands on heart. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Then breathe into your heart space. Not metaphorically, focus your attention there. Where the attention goes, energy follows. And your awareness magnetizes coherence. Step 2. Activate heart-based emotion. Now recall a memory or thought that evokes a genuine emotion of appreciation, compassion, or love. Not forced, not imagined, felt. Hold that emotional state in the heart space. Could be a person, pet, a moment of awe, a sunrise, a victory, a quiet knowing. Feel it not to manipulate the universe, but to generate vibrational order. Step 3. Sync the brain. While holding that feeling in the heart, begin pairing it with a clear intention from the mind. But don't think how. Think what? I am safe. I am guided. I am aligned. I am the signal. I am the version who already lives this. Let the emotion and the intention become one loop. Heart fuels mind, and mind reinforces heart. Now you've collapsed the chaos. You're no longer fragmented. You're not hoping. You're broadcasting from unity. Stay in this state for 3 to 5 minutes. Let the energy build. This is not meditation. This is signal generation. You are syncing 2 core transmitters, the brain and the heart. And when they pulse in harmony, your external world reorganizes. Why? Because coherence is attractive. It stabilizes your nervous system. And when your nervous system is calm, the field treats you as a trusted signal source. What happens when you practice this daily? You stop reacting emotionally to random events. You start attracting synchronicities faster. You gain intuitive precision. You make decisions from knowing, not panic. You hold frequency longer, even under pressure. This isn't a theory. It's an embodied tool. Use it before making a big decision. Use it before speaking with someone difficult. Use it before setting intentions. Use it after a trigger, and you'll stop leaking energy. Because when heart and brain agree, you don't need force. You've collapsed all internal contradiction. And that kind of clarity doesn't just shift you, commands your timeline. Now that your signal is locked in physiologically, let's layer in language that locks it in energetically. Next, you'll receive the most potent field command phrases, statements coded not in hope, but in embodied vibration. You've just synchronized your 2 greatest transmitters. You've experienced how coherence arises when heart and brain pulse in rhythm. You now hold a state of unity few ever master. But what if you could lock in that state through language? Not with wishful affirmations. Not with repetition for repetition's sake. but with spoken frequencies that anchor your vibration directly into the field. This is the art of the field command phrase, and it changes everything. Let's make one thing clear. Most affirmations don't work, not because they're wrong, but because they're hollow. They come from mental effort, not energetic alignment. You say, "I'm abundant," but your body contracts. You say, "I'm confident," but your chest collapses. The field doesn't respond to words. It responds to resonance. And if your words don't match your energy, they create more static, not alignment. So what is a field command? It's a phrase that emerges from coherence, not from craving. It's short, it's vibrationally honest, and it reinforces the embodied frequency you already activated. Think of it like a verbal tuning fork. It reminds your body, your breath, your mind, and your signal. This is the frequency. Stay here. Let's now craft your own. Here are the qualities of a true command phrase. Present tense. Rooted in identity, not desire. Short and rhythmically potent. Spoken from embodiment, not hope. Feels resonant in the chest, not just the head. Here are examples. I am the signal. I create reality through coherence. My field is clear and magnetic. Everything moves when I do. This is who I am now. I'm aligned. I'm steady. I'm trusted by the field. These aren't motivational slogans. They're vibrational anchors. Use them like incantations, not to convince yourself, but to stabilize yourself. How and when? Use field commands at key transition points, after heart-brain syncing, before walking into an unknown space, before opening your inbox or a hard conversation, when your body starts to wobble, right before sleep, immediately after waking up. These moments are gateways, and your phrase becomes the code that tells the quantum. Lock this in. Let's now help you write yours. Step 1. Identify the frequency you're anchoring. Is it safety, certainty, expansion, receptivity? Step 2. Find a phrase that matches that identity. Write 2 to 3 variations. Say them out loud. Feel which one vibrates in your chest, not your ego. Step 3. Make it muscle memory. Repeat it gently, not obsessively. Use breath to carry it. Let it echo in your nervous system, not just your head. Eventually, it becomes a postural shift, a breath pattern, a new neural groove. And once that happens, you no longer say the phrase. You become it. Now imagine combining this tool with the previous one. You reset to 0. You sync heart and brain. You breathe coherence into your field. And then, you speak your command into the silence. That's not woo. That's physics responding to integrity. Next, we move from breath carried in words to breath that transforms your field directly. Now that your language is aligned, it's time to tune the body into the frequency grid. Let's now upgrade your entire nervous system through quantum-aligned breathwork. You've just installed a new layer of coherence through language. You've learned how spoken frequency, when embodied, locks in your vibrational identity. Now it's time to shift your attention to the vessel that carries your signal everywhere, your body, and more specifically, your breath. This is not traditional breathwork for stress relief. This is breathwork designed to sculpt reality, because it alters the medium through which your field is broadcast. Let's break this wide open. Your breath is the interface between your nervous system and the quantum field. It is the only bodily function that is both voluntary and involuntary, which means it's your backdoor to coherence. Change your breath, you change your state. Change your state, you change your signal. Change your signal, the field reconfigures. Now, most people breathe reactively. Fast, shallow, unconscious. They breathe to survive, not to create. And that kind of breath communicates, I'm under threat. I'm scattered. I'm not safe to expand. But when you consciously command breath, you override the chaos. You stabilize the nervous system. You quiet the mind. You open the energetic grid of your body. Let's go deeper. There are 3 main energetic functions of breath in the context of manifestation. Grounding, bringing scattered energy into the present moment. Purifying, releasing emotional charge trapped in the body. Activating, amplifying specific frequencies aligned with your chosen identity. We will now use all three inside a single breathwork sequence that rewires your field in under 7 minutes. Before we begin, understand this. You don't do breathwork to feel better. You do it to broadcast from coherence. Feeling better is the byproduct. Commanding reality is the outcome. Now let's train the breath. The quantum coherence sequence. Small blue diamond step 1. Grounding breath. Breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale slowly through the mouth for 8. Repeat 4 times. This grounds your energy. It signals the body, we are safe, present, neutral. Small blue diamond step 2. Purifying breath. Take a deep breath into your belly, fully expanding. Hold for 6 seconds. Exhale forcefully through the mouth with sound. Repeat 3 times. This shakes out stagnant tension. Clears space for new frequency. Small blue diamond step 3. Activating breath. Inhale through the nose for 6 seconds. Hold for 6 seconds while repeating internally. It's done. I am now. Exhale with a smile, fully emptying. Repeat 5 rounds. This breath codes the nervous system to stabilize the desired identity. As you breathe, bring to mind the reality you've already chosen. Don't visualize it as distant. Feel it as current. Let the breath marry the image. Let the body pulse with that frequency. This isn't just preparation. It is transmission. Because when breath aligns with belief, and belief aligns with emotion, you're no longer hoping. You're emitting. After the sequence, sit still for 60 seconds. Let the field rearrange around your new signal. Let silence echo the shift. Use this ritual anytime, before manifestation practices, after triggers, in the morning to set the tone, at night to clear static, before any high-stakes communication, after setbacks to re-anchor identity. And remember, you are not just breathing air. You are sculpting your field. The quantum responds not to thoughts alone, but to nervous system regulation aligned with intention. This is why breath matters more than effort. It bypasses mental interference. It speaks the body's ancient language, and the field trusts that language. Now that your nervous system has become a clean transmitter, you're ready for the next dimension, living not from want but from already having. Let's now master the signal of inevitability. Your nervous system is now regulated. Your breath is no longer a reflex. It's a tool. You've cleared the chaos, activated clarity, and stabilized your field. Now comes the part most people skip. And because they skip it, they sabotage everything they've built. They keep living from the energy of I want. But want is a signal of absence. And absence can't attract fulfillment. If you want the field to deliver, it must first believe you already have. That's not delusion. That's timeline congruence. This brings us to your next mastery. Future pacing. What is it? It's not daydreaming. It's not hoping. It's not fake it till you make it. It's living, thinking, breathing, and choosing from the frequency of the version of you who has already arrived. Because in the quantum field, there is no time, only vibration. The future you desire already exists as a frequency. And the fastest way to merge with it is to stop chasing it and start inhabiting it. So how do you do that? Let's walk it out. Step 1. Identify your future identity signal. Choose the timeline you're calling in. What does it feel like to be that version of you? Not what are they doing? Not what have they achieved? What is their baseline emotional signature? Calm confidence? Grounded clarity? Overflowing trust? Creative certainty? You must define it before you can embody it. Step 2. Extract micro-behaviors. How does that version of you start the day? Respond to a no? Handle delay? Speak to others? Speak to themselves? You're not guessing. You're reverse engineering behavior from a future frequency. This removes fantasy and replaces it with energetic congruence. Step 3. Align your environment. Future pacing doesn't live in your head. It shows up in your reality. Does your home reflect your future identity? Are your digital spaces congruent with your signal? Do your habits reinforce that timeline? Make micro-adjustments. Let your outer world reflect your inner command. Step 4. Remove signal loops of lack. Stop saying, I hope it works. One day I'm trying to. It's not here yet. Every time you speak lack, you send the field back into search mode. Speak as if it's done. Not as performance, but as reality. You don't say, I hope I have a body. You know you do. Apply the same principle. Say, this is who I am now. And mean it. Step 5. Anchor daily with identity cues. Choose 3 rituals that reinforce your future identity. Examples: a posture you return to, a specific phrase you whisper before sleep, a 90-second breath ritual that signals arrival, a song that activates your embodiment, a boundary you now hold with zero wobble. These cues create familiarity, and familiarity builds belief, and belief generates the field's response. Now let's address the biggest misunderstanding. Living as if it's done does not mean pretending you don't care. It means you're no longer broadcasting the frequency of chasing. You're living the frequency of knowing. The difference: wanting keeps the field searching. Knowing collapses the wave. Wanting says, it might happen. Knowing says, it's already mine. I'm the version who receives. This is why future pacing works. Because it stops you from living in anticipation and places you into vibrational memory. The universe doesn't give you what you hope for. It mirrors who you've already become. You're not predicting the future. You're becoming it now. And once you do, the timeline has no choice. It aligns. Next, we go deeper into the structure behind identity and begin upgrading the actual blueprint that the universe responds to every moment. You've just begun future pacing. You're no longer casting signals from want. You're standing in the frequency of already done. But to sustain this new way of being, we have to address the one thing beneath it all: identity. Because no matter what you visualize, speak, or breathe, the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to who you are. And who you are isn't a concept. It's a vibration, a coded signature formed by your memories, decisions, beliefs, emotions, and choices over time. We call this your identity field. It is the default frequency you emit without trying. You can fake affirmations. You can copy techniques. But you cannot fake your identity field. And if your identity is still rooted in struggle, waiting, doubt, or smallness, then that's what the field will reflect over and over, regardless of your intentions. So how do you shift it? Welcome to identity hacking. This is not about pretending to be someone else. It's about consciously choosing to become who you were always meant to be, without contradiction. Let's walk into this. Step 1. Identify your current identity loop. Your results are revealing your identity every day. Ask, what type of person does this life reflect? Who would believe this current reality is normal? What emotional state do I default to most often? Get specific. Are you broadcasting the identity of the one who almost makes it? The helper who never receives? The powerful one who always burns out? The creative who fears visibility? The safe but unseen version? These identities aren't flaws. They're outdated survival programs. You don't fix them. You retire them. Step 2. Design your new signal identity. This is the version of you that the future already knows. The one who moves without wobble, speaks without shrinking, chooses without permission, creates without waiting, receives without guilt. This version is not imaginary. They exist in the field, just not in your current signal. Your job is to shift to match them. Now name this version of you. Literally. Give them a title. Examples: the magnetic architect, the quietly unshakable one, the frequency keeper, the decider, the whole self. Naming them solidifies the new code. Step 3. Extract their operating rules. Every identity runs on rules. Your current identity might say, don't speak too loudly. It's not safe. Work hard before you deserve anything. Only trust results, not feelings. But your new identity, they have different rules. They say, My presence activates timelines. I move because I choose, not because I chase. Reality molds to me when I'm coherent. Now write those new rules. Then repeat them daily, especially when your old rules surface. This is not affirming. This is overwriting neural code. Step 4. Let the old identity collapse. This part is non-negotiable. You must let go of the benefits your old identity gave you. Being invisible so no one judges. Playing small so others feel comfortable. Struggling so you don't feel guilty about success. Doubting so you don't risk disappointment. Every outdated identity protects something. So honor it. Then say, I release this version with gratitude. Kept me safe. But I am no longer available for its consequences. This act ends the loop. Now begins stabilization. Step 5. Live in identity integrity. This means act, speak, move, choose, and rest from your new identity, even before you see proof. Why? Because identity isn't created from evidence. It's created from consistency. And once you stabilize the signal, the field will reflect it with terrifying accuracy. You'll notice people treat you differently. Decisions become easier. Money flows differently. Resistance vanishes. You speak less but are heard more. Your reality upgrades faster than logic can explain. Because you're no longer trying to manifest. You've become the version who already does. And now the field trusts you. Next, we go deeper. You're not here to broadcast a generic signal. You're here to activate your signature frequency, the one no one else in the field can emit. Let's turn you into a signal the universe has no template for. You've just rewritten your identity field. You've ended loops, retired old personas, and stepped into the signal of who you truly are. But now it's time for the deepest level of coherence. Original frequency. You see, the field doesn't respond to effort. It doesn't respond to imitation. It responds to authenticity at vibrational scale. This is your signature signal. It is the unique energetic pattern that only you can generate. It is the most accurate and magnetic version of you in existence. And when you broadcast this signal, the field doesn't just react, it reorganizes. Because you're no longer broadcasting from strategy. You're broadcasting from essence. Let's define it. Your signature signal is made of 3 layers. Essence frequency, who you are beneath all personas. Embodiment field, how you carry that frequency in thought, emotion, and movement. Creative transmission, how you radiate that frequency into the world. Let's now activate all 3. Step 1. Discover your essence frequency. Strip away the labels. Ask, when I am most me, without agenda, what do people feel? Not what you do. Not what you say. What do people experience when your guard is down? Common examples: quiet power, electric vision, deep peace, inevitable flow, fierce compassion, expansive stillness. Don't rush this. Close your eyes. Breathe into your chest. Ask, what is the energetic truth of me when nothing is performing? Name it. Claim it. It's the tone of your being. Step 2. Anchor it into embodiment. Now bring that essence into your walk, voice, decisions, boundaries, presence in silence. You're no longer borrowing someone else's frequency. You're carrying your own into the room. This is subtle but game-changing. Because when you live from your signal, you stop comparing, performing, justifying, strategizing, seeking approval. You become the signal. And that is irresistible. Step 3. Express through creative transmission. Every being emits. Some emit confusion. Some emit doubt. Some emit control. But you will now emit original coherence. How? By expressing your essence in all things. Your content, your style, your silence, your responses, your no, your yes. Every action becomes a signature imprint on the field. You don't need to be loud. You need to be clear. And when your signature signal becomes consistent, the field adjusts to support it. People start to say, I don't know what it is about you, but something shifted. That something is signal stability. Let's build your signature ritual. Begin each day asking, What is the frequency I am here to broadcast today? Keep it to one word or phrase. In moments of tension, ask, am I emitting from signal or survival? End the day reflecting, where did I embody me the most? This brings daily precision to your energetic legacy. Because ultimately, your life is not measured by what you achieve. It is measured by what frequency you anchored on Earth. And no one can anchor your signal but you. Now that your unique frequency is activated, we'll show you how to stop treating manifestation as a one-time wish and instead create sustainable loops of receiving. You've just activated your signature signal. You've learned that who you are at your most authentic embodied frequency is your true point of attraction. Now comes the truth that changes everything. Manifestation is not an event. It is a loop. And if you're still treating it like a one-time wish, a peak experience, or a rare breakthrough, you're operating in outdated coding. This chapter will break that pattern for good. Let's first deconstruct the illusion. Most people think manifestation works like this. I visualize something. I believe in it. I take aligned action. It arrives. Done. But in quantum law, the field doesn't work like a vending machine. It works like a mirror that's always listening for patterns, not moments. You don't manifest because you had one powerful meditation. You manifest because you stabilized a consistent frequency loop over time. The field doesn't respond to spikes. It responds to loops. So ask yourself, is your emotional energy consistent or reactionary? Is your embodiment stable or dependent on validation? Is your intention clear across all environments? Or only when you're alone? This is where most collapse happens. People build up a moment, then fall back into the old loop. And the field says, we still don't have a new dominant signal. Resume mirroring the old one. Let's now break this pattern. The loop model of manifestation. There are 4 energetic phases in a frequency loop. Initiation, you activate a new identity and intention. Stabilization, you hold that signal consistently, especially without external proof. Reflection, the field begins to mirror back evidence of alignment. Reinforcement, you receive, normalize, and expand into a new baseline. Then the loop begins again with upgraded frequency. But here's the key. Most people never reach phase 3. They collapse during phase 2 because the echo lag tricks them into thinking nothing is happening. And so, they shift their frequency back to the old signal, breaking the loop. Your power comes from learning to stabilize phase 2 without panic. Let's now look at what breaks a loop. Seeking confirmation too early. Getting high from potential but not embodying the identity. Emotional crashes after contrast. Disbelieving what's not visible yet. Stopping the practices that anchored you in the first place. Now let's look at what strengthens a loop. Treating clarity as identity, not a moment. Speaking, walking, deciding as if it's already your norm. Noticing and neutralizing emotional leaks early. Anchoring your signature signal daily. Reading contrast as refinement, not rejection. Here's the principle. If you wouldn't do it after you manifested it, don't do it before. If your future self isn't doubting daily, why are you? If they aren't obsessed with timing, why are you? Match the emotional behavior of your manifested self before the field has reflected it. This builds trust, and trust stabilizes the loop. Let's now build your frequency loop ritual. Each morning, name the loop you're reinforcing. I am anchoring the frequency of trust in financial expansion. Embodiment reminder. Today, I act, respond, and walk as the one who already has it. Signature signal phrase. My field is clear. My frequency is active. It's already moving. At night, loop scan. Did I hold the loop emotionally? Or did I collapse? Loop repair. Where did I wobble? Where did I reinforce? Reset phrase. I reinforce my frequency now. Tomorrow, I signal from knowing. This keeps you in motion, because you don't collapse timelines by hoping. You collapse them by looping a stable signal until the quantum responds. Now that you know how to build continuous coherence, we move into advanced field mechanics. What actually happens in the quantum when you choose, truly choose, a new identity and direction? Let's now open the gate to multiverse mechanics. You've just exited the one-and-done model of manifestation. You now understand that manifestation is not a single act. It is a loop. You hold the loop, the field mirrors it, and your new baseline is established. But have you ever wondered, on a quantum level, what actually happens when you choose? When you say, "This is my reality now," with true coherence, where does the other version of you go? The one who didn't choose? The one who stayed small, afraid, conflicted? Welcome to multiverse mechanics. And no, it's not sci-fi. It's the physics behind why clarity changes your reality, and why hesitation keeps you fragmented. Let's start with the core premise. The quantum field contains infinite timelines. Each one is real. Each one is accessible. Each one already exists as vibrational potential. And every time you make a clear, embodied, emotionally congruent decision, you collapse into one. You don't create the timeline. You enter it. Now let's go deeper. When you don't choose, what happens? Your energy splits. You send part of your signal to timeline A, part to timeline B, another piece to timeline C, and none of them dominate, so the field holds you in superposition. Potential, not presence. Possibility, not manifestation. This is why your life feels stuck after long periods of indecision. You're emitting from the fog of infinite maybes, not the clarity of "this is mine." So what shifts when you choose? The field rearranges instantly. Resources, people, synchronicities, internal momentum, all recalibrate to the new frequency pathway. Because now there is signal density. Now there is coherence. And coherence bends the field. But this only works when the choice is full, emotional, somatic, cognitive, behavioral. You can't half-choose and expect the quantum to commit. So let's build the muscle of decisive timeline activation. The timeline choice protocol. Clarify the identity. Ask, which version of me is calling this timeline forward? Feel the fracture. Ask, what part of me is still holding another option just in case? Collapse the options. Say, I choose this, fully. I release all other timelines now. Anchor in action. Immediately take one action that your chosen timeline version would take. No delay. Hold through echo. Know that remnants of the old path may surface. Hold your signal. Reinforce the choice. Let's use a metaphor. The field is like a massive cosmic GPS. You don't get directions unless you input a destination. And if you keep changing the address mid-route, you'll never arrive. Choice is the coordinates. Emotion is the ignition. Action is the acceleration. Coherence is the fuel. And this is not about perfection. It's about clarity without contradiction. Now here's the twist. When you choose one path, all other timelines don't disappear. They remain, but they become unavailable to your current frequency. This means you are no longer tempted by the unaligned. Because you don't just choose once. You live your choice daily, through frequency. That's when your life shifts fast. Sometimes violently, sometimes subtly, but always accurately. And when it does, don't panic. Say, of course things are changing. I chose. The field is catching up. This is the power of multiverse mechanics. You're not waiting for the future. You're signaling from it. And the universe reconfigures to match the new architect, you. Next, we move into full embodiment with practices that root your signal so deeply that backsliding becomes nearly impossible. You've just unlocked the mechanics of the multiverse. You now understand how choosing one timeline reorganizes the entire field. But now comes the integration, because even after you choose, even after you collapse possibility into form, there's one thing that can still fracture your signal. Mixed energy in your daily state. You're coherent in the morning, uncertain by noon. Clear in your meditation, confused by the meeting. Certain before the call, scattered after the reply. This instability doesn't mean failure. It means your frequency hasn't yet stabilized across all layers. And to build that, you need a daily coherence activator. This isn't another tool to fix you. This is a precision ritual that locks your broadcast in place, no matter what life throws at you. Because here's the truth. The universe mirrors the version of you that shows up most consistently, not the one that appears only during your best moments. This chapter gives you the daily structure to collapse mixed signals before they form, so you're no longer leaking power, splitting timelines, or hesitating at choice points. Let's build the practice. Takes 5 to 7 minutes. Can be done anywhere, and it stabilizes your coherence across body, breath, thought, emotion, and decision. This is your daily signal lock ritual. Step 1. Ground the identity, 1 minute. Start by stating out loud, clearly, decisively, and without hesitation. I am the version of me who... Insert identity aligned with your current timeline. Examples: I am the version of me who creates with ease and clarity. I am the version of me who is already receiving. I am the version of me who is fully trusted by the field. Don't whisper it. Don't say it in your head. Let it echo through your nervous system. Your body needs to hear who it is before it will behave like it. Step 2. Breath reset, 2 minutes. Use the same breath pattern from chapter 36. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 8. Repeat for 2 minutes. This anchors safety in your physiology and clears noise. Step 3. Emotional encoding, 2 minutes. Now close your eyes. Call in the feeling your chosen identity stabilizes in. It may be calm command. It may be magnetic certainty. It may be unapologetic peace. Feel it in your chest. Don't analyze it, amplify it. Then speak a field command phrase, see chapter 35, from within that emotion. Examples: my field is set. I radiate stable clarity. This is who I am now. Repeat 3 to 5 times, slowly. Step 4. Action anchor, 1 minute. End the ritual with a micro-action that matches the identity. Examples: stand taller. Send a message your old self would avoid. Reframe one looming fear into a conscious decision. Shift your posture and say, done. This locks the frequency into your behavior. Now, some will ask, do I have to do this every day? Only if you want daily coherence. Because coherence isn't permanent by accident. It's permanent by practice. The more you do this, the less effort it requires. Eventually, it becomes a new baseline. Eventually, your nervous system defaults to the new identity. That's when you stop needing rituals to hold it because you've become it. Let's now look at the effect. You stop chasing alignment and start radiating it. You move through your day without overcorrecting. You respond to chaos with energetic precision. You no longer collapse just because contrast appears. And you'll notice something powerful. People, offers, and timing will adjust themselves around your new field. Not because you tried harder, but because you stabilized your signal longer. Now that you've installed a daily coherence practice, we turn toward the highest truth. You've been working with the field all along, but what if you were never separate from it in the first place? Let's now confront the most reality-shattering idea so far. You've learned to command your signal. You've learned to stabilize identity, collapse timelines, and live from frequency rather than hope. But up until now, we've still spoken of you and the universe as two distinct entities. As if you are sending messages to a separate intelligence. As if there is a field outside of you watching, waiting, deciding whether to reflect. But now it's time to unlearn that final illusion. You are the field. Let that land. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, not symbolically. Your awareness, your presence, your emotional frequency, your breath, your decisions are extensions of the quantum field itself. You've never been separate. There's never been an external reality making choices about you. The feedback loop between you and the universe is not a relationship. It's a reflection of oneness. This changes everything. Because once you see yourself as the field, you stop begging for signs. You stop questioning your value. You stop fearing rejection. You stop waiting for permission to move. You realize, when I change, reality must change. Because it's not separate. It's me in motion. Let's now translate this into practice. Step 1. Identify residual separation programs. Even now, there might be lingering beliefs such as, I need to earn alignment. If I do it wrong, the universe will punish me. I hope the universe gives me what I want. I'm manifesting from lack. I need help. These are remnants of the U plus field model. Collapse them by saying, I am the field. There is nothing to earn. There is only coherence to stabilize. Step 2. Recode your language. Every time you say, the universe is testing me, replace with my field is reflecting me. I'm waiting for my manifestation. Replace with, I'm aligning to what's already here. I hope the universe hears me. Replace with my signal is already encoded. You're not calling reality in. You're animating it through signal. Step 3. Reframe every trigger as field feedback. If something upsets you, if a delay happens, if someone rejects you, don't ask, why is this happening? Ask, what is my field showing me about my current signal? This turns victimhood into authorship. It returns power to its rightful place, within you. Step 4. Use the mirror practice. Look at your life, relationships, money, health, opportunities, not to judge, but to read. What is your current reality saying about your frequency? What part of your identity is being shown? And now ask, if I truly accepted that I am the field, how would I walk today? How would I choose? How would I speak? What would I no longer tolerate? The answers will come, because your system knows the truth. It's always known. You're not separated from source. You're not a human pleading with a cosmic vending machine. You are the source. You are the technology. You are the signal. You are the receiver and transmitter. You are the architect and the architecture. You are the wave and the particle. You don't have to wait for divine timing. You are divine timing. You don't have to chase alignment. You generate alignment. You don't have to seek the field. You activate it every time you breathe with intention. And when you live from this truth, nothing can stay the same, because your frequency becomes unmistakable, not to others, to reality itself. Next, we strip the final layer of resistance by exposing the biggest cosmic secret. Your desires? They're not yours alone. They're blueprints the universe encoded through you. And once you accept that truth, resistance dies. You've just dismantled the illusion of separation. You no longer see yourself as outside the field, you recognize you are it. Now comes a truth that dissolves resistance at the root. Your desire is not selfish. Your desire is not delusional. Your desire is a divine broadcast, coded into you on purpose. Let that settle, because for too long you've questioned your own dreams. Not because they were wrong, but because you believed wanting them made you ungrateful, unrealistic, or egocentric. That confusion ends now. Here's what's actually happening. You are a unique frequency node of consciousness, through which the quantum field expresses itself. Your deepest desires aren't made-up stories. They are downloaded blueprints, instructions your soul agreed to animate into reality. They're not optional. They're sacred technology. So when you suppress your desire, delay it, question it, or shame it, you're not just limiting yourself. You're distorting the divine signal trying to move through you. This is why desire hurts when it's ignored. It's not because you're needy. It's because something real is trying to be born through you, not just for you. Now let's separate noise from blueprint. Not every impulse is sacred desire. Some are distractions, fear responses, or ego pursuits. So how do you know the difference? Sacred desire feels like a deep gravitational pull that won't go away, a calm clarity that returns even when you doubt, a quiet knowing that feels older than logic, a frequency that lifts you when you speak it, an image or idea that's come back again and again, despite resistance. False desires feel like desperation to prove worth, social comparison, ego inflation, escaping present discomfort, chasing approval or validation. Here's the test. When you remove fear and urgency, when you stop asking, how will it happen? When you silence the external noise, what remains? That's the real thing. That's your divine blueprint. That's the desire the universe is counting on you to anchor into the world. Not because it's convenient, because it's encoded in your frequency. You may ask, but why would the universe need me to fulfill that? because consciousness expands through expression, and only you can express your frequency. Your signal is not replicable. If you don't live it, it goes unlived. Let's now reclaim your desire without guilt, fear, or doubt. Step 1. Identify the one desire that won't let go. Not the most logical one, not the most achievable, the one that keeps circling back, like a heartbeat beneath your skin. Write it, say it, own it. Step 2. Ask, what reality would be created if this fully manifested? Who would benefit? What energy would expand? What light would increase in the world? Even if it benefits you first, trace the ripple effect. Step 3. Anchor this truth. This desire is not mine alone. It is a divine blueprint requesting embodiment, and I choose to let it move through me without resistance. Repeat this daily until the fear dissolves. Now let's go deeper. When you accept your desire as divine, you stop arguing with your own expansion. You stop shrinking around being realistic. You stop playing small for the sake of comfort. You stop treating the desire like a test. You begin treating it like an assignment. And once you do that, everything changes. You stop hesitating. You stop asking for permission. You stop compromising your frequency to fit logic. You no longer ask, "Can I have this?" You state, "I was born for this," because the universe placed this code in you not randomly but precisely. Your desire is not indulgence. It's alignment in motion. Now, to activate this blueprint fully, one final tension must be resolved. The oldest signal split in the field. Let's now address the root choice you make every single day, with or without awareness. Do you trust the field, or do you fear it? You've reclaimed your desire as divine. You no longer question whether it's valid. You've seen that your dreams are the universe's way of moving through you. But now we arrive at the final signal fork, the split that determines everything, the vibration underneath every action, every decision, every thought, trust or fear. Not both. One always wins. This is the root split behind all other contradictions. You launch an intention, but don't trust the timeline. You want to expand, but fear you'll be rejected. You act confident, but inside you're bracing for collapse. You choose clarity, but carry backup plans made of fear. This dual signal confuses the field, because it hears, "I trust that it's coming," and, "But I don't really believe I'm safe." Which one does the field respond to? The dominant vibration, always, and fear is louder than words. So even if you affirm abundance, even if you take bold steps, if fear is humming under the surface, the field reads that as your true command. Let's bring this out of concept and into clarity. Fear broadcasts scarcity, doubt, control, fragility, delay. Trust broadcasts receptivity, clarity, ease, magnetic certainty, flow. The scary part? Both feel normal, because fear disguises itself as logic, planning, and realism. Trust feels unfamiliar at first because you've been trained to believe proof comes first. But in quantum law, proof doesn't come before trust. Proof arrives when trust becomes consistent. So how do you feed trust and starve fear? Let's start building signal integrity. Step 1. Locate the fear thread. Ask, what am I afraid will happen if this doesn't work? Let the real answer come, not the surface excuse, the one under it. Fear of humiliation, loss of identity, abandonment, being wrong again? Don't shame it. Name it. Step 2. Interrupt the loop. When you catch yourself feeding fear, in thought, conversation, or action, say out loud, "That's not my frequency anymore. I choose trust." It sounds simple, but you're recoding neural pathways every time you do this. Step 3. Choose the trust behavior. Ask, what would someone who trusts the field do next? Not in theory, in this exact moment. Then do it, without needing to feel ready, because trust is not a feeling. It's a choice made until it becomes a feeling. Step 4. Create a trust signal ritual. Morning question. Where can I lean back into trust today? Midday reset. Is fear whispering beneath my words right now? Evening scan. Did I act from trust or manage from fear? This trains your awareness to become emotionally precise. Eventually, your nervous system will recognize trust as home. You'll feel safe being seen, safe being big, safe being without control. That's when coherence holds, because the signal is clean. Let's anchor this final command. I trust because I am the field, and the field never withholds, it reflects. So when I emit trust, reality must mirror it. That's not optimism. That's quantum law. Now you've resolved the deepest split, the one between trusting the unseen and fearing collapse. And from here, you're no longer managing manifestation. You're commanding reality. Our final transmission will seal this embodiment. It's not another lesson. It's an activation, delivered directly to the quantum architect that you now are. You've seen through the illusion of separation. You've reprogrammed your identity. You've synchronized your field. You've anchored your desires as divine. You've chosen trust over fear consciously, completely. Now we arrive at the final phase. Not an ending, but a recalibration of who you now are. This is not another teaching. This is a transmission. A message meant to be felt, not just understood. Because you are no longer a seeker. You are no longer decoding reality. You are now commanding it. Not from arrogance. Not from force. From absolute coherence. You've become the signal. And once you've become the signal, you don't manifest by trying. You manifest because you're no longer contradicting your own broadcast. Let's speak plainly. You don't need to beg the universe. You are the universe, giving yourself permission to move. You don't need to be high vibe all the time. You need to be true vibe all the time. Because truth is what the field mirrors. Not masks. Not effort. Not overthinking. Not hustle. Truth. Let's now speak directly to the version of you that can hear this clearly. You are not broken. You never were. You were broadcasting confusion because your power terrified you. But now you've remembered. You've returned to alignment not through willpower but through precision. You've reconfigured your nervous system. You've reset your language. You've collapsed timelines. You've exited the identity loops of limitation. You've ended the war within. And now, your presence is the activation. When you walk into a room, coherence enters with you. When you speak, the field listens. When you rest, the field recalibrates around your stillness. That's power. Quiet. Non-performative. Magnetic. Inevitable. So what does it mean to command reality? It means you no longer over-explain. You vibrate clarity. You no longer chase. You magnetize. You no longer apologize for your frequency. You stabilize it. You no longer wonder what's coming. You become the signal that everything orbits around. And if contrast arises, you don't panic. You don't spiral. You say, the field is reorganizing. I am holding. Because it's not about perfection. It's about stability. You're no longer reacting. You're responding with awareness. You're no longer asking if you're enough. You're broadcasting from enoughness. You're no longer managing life. You're co-architecting it in real time with a field that trusts your vibration. That's the final reward of coherence. The quantum doesn't test you anymore. It mirrors you faster because it trusts you. You've become reliable. And reliability is magnetic. So now the invitation is this. Keep the field clean. Not by control. By staying close to your true signal. Use the tools. Yes. But know that the tools are not your source. You are. You are the gateway. You are the frequency. You are the coherence. You are the vessel through which divine intention takes shape. You don't need to remember every technique. You need only remember this. The clearer my signal, the faster reality rearranges. And if ever you feel unsteady again, return to this truth. I know who I am. I trust the field. I am already aligned. Speak it. Feel it. Live from it. That's command. That's authorship. That's who you are now. But before we close this journey completely, there is one final lock to turn. One last awareness to imprint into your consciousness so that you never return to the old loop. It is not another tool. It is a frequency truth. Now that you command your reality, Now that every breath is a quantum instruction, there's one final layer to seal this embodiment into permanence. Because the question isn't, can I be coherent? The real question is, can I live coherence so deeply that I never need to recalibrate again? That's not a fantasy. It's a practice. And it starts here. Let's define it clearly. Living coherence means your dominant signal no longer needs constant maintenance. It's no longer a ritual. It's your resting state. How do you recognize this level of embodiment? You don't doubt when silence shows up. You read it as recalibration. You don't interpret contrast as punishment. You see it as precision feedback. You don't emotionally collapse when things shift. You hold your frequency with reverence. You don't need external validation to confirm alignment. You feel the vibration before results arrive. In this state, you don't use techniques to achieve. You live your frequency as a way of being. And the universe? It adjusts in real time, because now you've become the version of you that the quantum field entrusts with expansion. Let's make this practical. Here are the 5 anchors of permanent coherence. Anchor 1, frequency first, logic later. You lead with vibration, not circumstances. You no longer ask, what makes sense? You ask, what's aligned with my field? And if logic disagrees, you let it catch up. Because frequency leads timelines, logic follows. Anchor 2, embodied emotional precision. You no longer generalize feelings. You don't say, I feel off. You ask, where is the signal wobbling, and what message is it sending? You trace emotional charges to their source and correct at the root. Anchor 3, relational alignment. You stop bending your frequency to maintain relationships. You let coherence filter your environment. If something can't sustain your new signal, it's not rejected, it's released. This isn't detachment. It's frequency integrity. Anchor 4, decisional clarity without overthinking. You no longer delay choices. You trust micro-decisions to anchor macro shifts. If you wobble, you say, I recalibrate now. You move, and movement becomes magnetism. Anchor 5, signal over strategy. You stop chasing tactics. You use methods that match your vibration, but you don't become dependent on them. Because now your signal is the method. And here's the irony. The more consistently you live coherence, the less you try to manifest, because your very presence becomes an attractor field. People say, you seem different, more solid, clearer, magnetic. That's coherence. They're not just noticing your actions. They're feeling your signal density. This is how you exit fragility. You don't just remember who you are during rituals. You live who you are while doing dishes, reading emails, making choices, and breathing between moments. You become untouchable. Not because you're cold, but because your signal is so clear, it repels confusion before it arrives. So the question is no longer, how do I manifest? The real question is, how long can I sustain the signal of alignment until reality has no choice but to match it? And when you can answer that with full body certainty, you've mastered coherence. You've transcended technique. You've become the architect, not the builder, not the dreamer, not the seeker, the architect. And from this day forward, let it be known, you are no longer broadcasting from doubt. You are no longer orbiting around clarity. You are no longer negotiating with your desire. You are coherence in motion. You are alignment embodied. You are the signature signal the field has been waiting for. This isn't a finale. It's your launchpad. And the next time you feel yourself questioning what's possible, pause, breathe. Remember, I don't chase the field. I am the field.